All right, welcome everybody. We are standing by for night 2 of the Republican National Convention. We're here again for the craziness. We're here for it together, and we're going to do the best we can to sort of survive it, I guess, for lack of a better term. Many of you were here yesterday and were very disturbed by what we saw. Let's give it another shot. We are, I set today's member target to yesterday's actual number, which was 56. Why not? You know, something to entertain ourselves. We've also, by popular demand, have Twitch subscribers on screen, which any number of people asked for. Let's take a look at what's scheduled for today. Let's see what we've got here. Tuesday schedule. Let's take a look. I know Melania will be speaking today. Okay, Tuesday. Let's go to Tuesday. First Lady Melania Trump is slated to speak. Also, we will hear from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, Eric and Tiffany Trump. We're also going to hear from one of the Covington kids, Nick Sandmann, if you can imagine something crazier. And who knows who else. That's today. There is a bingo card that Xi'an created. It's pretty damn funny. I'm not going to play along today, but I am going to... oh, that's weird. Where did the Twitch subscribers go? Hold on a second. Oh, okay. They'll be back. Don't worry about that. I'm going to put the link to this in the Twitch chat a few times, and then also now in the YouTube chat a few times. I may play along, I may not, but I wanted to at least get this to you guys. There's some good squares. Joe Biden in a basement reference to communism, fascism, or Marxism. Not everything is spelled correctly. This is not mine, but I wanted to present it to you in case you'd like it. References to Law and Order, mail-in ballot fraud, convalescent plasma, the 1917 Spanish flu, the failing New York Times, Washington Post, references to Israel, Crazy Bernie, NASDAQ. Now, this more applies to Trump on Thursday. I don't know that this applies today. Border wall. I've done more for the black community than anybody except maybe Lincoln. Lying is a free space. Slurred speech we'll be watching for. Fake protesters or anarchists. The China virus or Kung flu. Nobody was or is better at X than I am. Second Amendment, God, tax cuts, Obamacare, Make America Great Again, sniffing. The Democrats are going to take away X, like the suburbs, for example, and a reference to the witch hunt hoax. So I love that Xi'an sent that to me. It's not perfect, but it's a work in progress. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to have. Okay, so our Twitch sub counter is working. B. Gray, Rippos, Belltown, and Yeet Greet subscribed. And there we go. We went from 1301 to 1304. Beautiful. A few key moments from... Oh, by the way, much like yesterday, I will be live tweeting if the mood should strike, and you can follow my tweets at dpacman. We'll also be very closely monitoring Donald Trump's tweets. For example, 47 minutes ago, he tweeted again about ballots, and I responded merely, panic. So we'll be monitoring Donald Trump's tweets as well. Some interesting moments from yesterday. Let me see which ones I had here. Oh, speaking of abolishing things, here's the gun-toting couple, the McCloskys. That's what I call them, saying Biden will get rid of the suburbs.
To abolish the suburbs altogether by ending single-family home zoning.
Yep, so that was crazy. Then we had, oh, these are like mislinked. I see. This was maybe one of the craziest moments of the entire thing. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Destroy this country and everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty, your freedom. They want to control what you see and think and believe so that they can control how you live. They want to enslave you to the weak, dependent, liberal, victim ideology to the point that you will not recognize this country or yourself.
So that was really crazy. And then this is maybe the craziest moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
Right. So that
Ladies
was
and
that was the crescendo of the entire thing. Let me see what else I've got. I guess that's mostly it. Oh. This was a moment that didn't get the attention it deserved. This was brilliant. Donald Trump brought workers to talk to him. And I believe these were workers who had gotten coronavirus and recovered. And this worker on the end here mentions that they're a custodian in a school. And you can tell Trump doesn't know what that means. Trump doesn't know what a custodian does. It's an unbelievable moment. This didn't get nearly the attention that it deserved.
How about you?
I'm a custodian at the post office as well.
What do you do exactly?
Clean up everybody's mess and everybody's germs and all that.
Can I tell you that world, that profession will never be out of business.
So, okay, so it's a custodian at a post office. I guess I misstated that. But Trump, anybody who like went to school and related normally to the school, you know the custodian. You know all about the custodian and how that's the thing. Trump just has no idea what that is, which was a really, really strange moment. Okay. What else do I have here? I guess we're in pretty good shape. Oh, I have a bunch of stories from tomorrow about how 100 people are already infected at Purdue University, I guess. The entire school starting thing. I'm going to deal with that tomorrow. I also think I'm going to pull up a secondary stream of the RNC just in case they don't immediately go live here on PBS. I like the smoothness of the PBS stream yesterday, but I'm worried they may not be going live exactly when we want to go live. So I'm just going to grab one other stream. I like to have backup streams. It's really, really important. There we go. Okay, so we're going to have that. And I know I had other things to talk to you guys about. Oh, yeah, people are noticing my hair is very controlled today. I did control it. I just thought it would be appropriate to control it today because of what we're dealing with. Okay, so we're standing by for the start of the second night. Oh, do I want to do this now or do I want to wait a little bit? Maybe I'll wait a little bit on this. Let me review some of the super chats that are coming in because there's so many. Chakoseki says, sorry I'm late. Ghastly and ghoulish Guilfoyle beguiles all with a garish speak and gargoyle-esque gaze. Gruesome. Beautiful alliteration. I like that. Seems like something strange is going on upstairs. Cameron Titus says, Kimberly took the crazy crown last night over Gates and Jim Jordan, in my opinion. Who do you think will be the craziest speaker of day 2? Maybe Pompeo. I mean, it's really hard to say. I'm not sure. We're going to watch it. C says, did you hear the leaked audio of Reagan saying racist things with Richard Nixon? What do you think of it? I didn't, but it's not surprising. Sabrina Watts asks if I've ever owned an animal. Yes, when I lived in Argentina as a young boy, I owned a turtle, and the turtle died. It got into bleach, and I remember being very, very upset when my turtle died. Unknown Prodigy says, cat or dog, what's your first choice? Dog. Dog, absolutely. Patrick Asher says, David, do you love black people? Of course. Of course. Thanks to Oliver Wilde for the subscription. Colin Underwood says, ready to start crying already. The disconnection from reality yesterday was depressing. Yeah, you know, one bit of sort of good news is that even though there was more interest on my stream in yesterday's first day compared to the DNC, the ratings were actually down. Trump's obsessed with ratings, but 3 million fewer people watched yesterday relative to, I don't know if it was the first day or the average of the DNC. So that's interesting, certainly. Thanks to KM as well as Perturabo, Ruckabo, and Extra High for the support over on Twitch. We do have Twitch subscribers on screen now, and I apologize. I've got to turn my phone down because people are just so wound up. Everybody's texting me about some of these crazy events that are going on. Let me say thank you to Amkar Ramachandran, who is kicking us off today as new member number 1 at joinpacman.com, and Seamus O'Dween, who is new member number 2 today at joinpacman.com. I very much appreciate that. What else? We are scheduled to start very, very soon. I mean, really now. They're starting with the conspiratorial videos already. PBS NewsHour seems to be running a little late, so we'll stick over here. By the way, there's something very ugly that happened with regard to the fight for 1 million subscribers. As many of you may know, we are dangerously close to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. We're at 966,000. We were just in a race against ourselves where we wanted to get to 1 million before Election Day. But enlightened centrist Tim Pool hit 1 million subscribers. And a lot of people in the audience wrote to me despondent. I mean, just broken down emotionally. And he has beaten us there. So this definitely amps up the urgency for us to get to 1 million. And, you know, I have my thoughts on the entire thing, but it is imperative at this point that we do what we can to get ourselves to 1 million. And by the way, things going beautifully on Twitch as well. We're close to 47,000 and powering towards 50,000, over 1,300 subscribers, as you can see far above my head. So a lot of really, really exciting things. The requisite "Does David read Twitch chat?" has been asked. This is every stream. There's the question, does David read Twitch chat? Yes, let's get that out of the way now so we don't have to continue dealing with it over and over and over and over again. The second night of the Republican National Convention is getting underway. We will be hearing from Melania, who we just learned. I have a clip about this actually up on my YouTube channel. She has been caught on tape saying disparaging things about both Donald Trump and his children that are not her children, including in particular, I guess she unloads on Ivanka. So that is going to be particularly interesting. We always skip the prayers. We skipped it with the DNC. We'll skip it with the RNC. Super chats, continue to send them in. They will pop up on the screen. James Buccino says, I'd rather fight King Kong and Gaku. I'm kidding. I know that it's Goku at once, than have another 4 more years of the Mango Menace. Brendan Sayer has grabbed a sub. Diane Marzani. Hey, that Diane says, hello from scorching hot Tucson, Arizona. Love the show. Keep doing what you're doing. You have my support. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. Emmanuel Kant says, David, it's 2:25 in the morning for me. I hope the waiting will be worth it from the standpoint of cringe. Oh, there is going to be cringe to go around. German media is having lots of fun with Guilfoyle's manic episode. Yeah, it was an episode. That's actually a pretty good way to describe it. It really was an episode. Aaron Dadas says RNC speaker just got pulled because of anti-Semitic post. Not surprising. By the way, but 5 minutes before I came on air, I saw people on Twitch already got banhammered. People were ranting with racist. It was like a racist episode, I guess we would call it, on Twitch. People already banned on Twitch before today's stream even started, which is not good. I mean, it doesn't bode well for night 2. Does not bode well. Other super chats coming in. Stacy Wasey says, David, remember say I'm Hispanic periodically throughout the night. Yes, one of my big takeaways from yesterday is I need to announce my Hispanic heritage randomly and out of context. So I do want to say thanks to a few new members and remember that I'm Hispanic. Helen March is new member number 3 on my website, and Griffin Boyd is new member number 4. They claim to be against identity politics, and yet, everybody yesterday, every speaker who wasn't white, I guess, making sure that we knew that. Zesty African asks, from the standpoint of Trump having a wife that refuses to show public affection towards him, does the cult-like following for the RNC viewers bother you? Everything about this bothers me. Jeffrey Geltman says, would you go to a Seder with Sam Cedar, or would he cheat to find the Afikoman? I would anticipate that Sam would, on principle, refuse to even acknowledge the relevance of the Afikoman. That would be my expectation. Oliver Wilde says, did anyone send you an enhanced Buff Guy Pac-Man GIF or GIF? We will need it tonight. Unfortunately, no. Yesterday, I did put up on screen buff deepfake Pac-Man, and I said I would only do it if people send me custom memes using it, and nobody did. So it was a huge waste of my time and everybody's time, unfortunately. Thomas Neal says, one hit from the bong every time a Republican breathes. Okay, that's weird. At some point, we're going to get to something relevant, guys, and I will go to this. But again, the priority is to cover the top, the main speakers. I don't understand why PBS is not covering it live. Yesterday they did. Oh, I see. Here it is. This is a different stream. I prefer this stream, so we're going to stick with this stream for the time being. DNC had higher first night numbers, says Joey 2 times. Yes, I went over that already. Donna Williams says, what do you think about Trump essentially taking the 5th to the New York Attorney General? Oh, Donald J. Trump Jr. Yeah, Trump Sr. previously said if you plead the 5th, it implies that you're guilty. His kids are now pleading the 5th. So make of that what you will. I see a lot of people in regular chat asking how to get your message on the screen to my left. That is what we call YouTube Super Chat. But don't worry, I'm keeping an eye on regular YouTube chat as well as Twitch chat. Dirty Ricky subscribed for 3 months with Prime, and as you can see, became Twitch subscriber 1,310, which is nice. Craig says, please debate Gavin McInnes. The guy is now offering $10 million to have you on his panel. I would take $10 million. Yeah. If somebody can get me that offer in writing from Gavin, I'll send it to my representation. Shaner says, do you know where these speeches are taking place? Not sure where these huge columns are. I think the columns is someplace in Charlotte, and then Melania, I believe, is expected to speak from the White House. That's what I recall being told. Oh, people are saying check on subscriptions. Okay, let me see. We're still at 966,000. Yeah, I mentioned at the top of the stream that while we are really in a race against ourselves for 1 million YouTube subscribers, enlightened centrist, I think pro-Trump centrist, Tim Pool, did reach 1 million subscribers before us, making it all that much more urgent that we get to 1 million. We are now getting closer and closer to what I would consider the bona fide start of this event. But we are not there yet. Trust me, we're going to go to the important speeches momentarily. Didymus asks, how do you respond to people who say that riots are taking place in Democrat cities and thus are Democrats' fault? I have already recorded a beautiful direct message on that exact issue, which will be part of our Friday podcast. Okay, so make sure you're subscribed to our Friday podcast. Pablo Swanson is back for the Global Dunning-Kruger Festival. You and me both. Peace is a verb. Says, love you, David. Keep up the great work. We're depending on it. Thank you. Parrots Pucks says 35% still will vote Trump. Shake my head. 35%. Oh, my God. Way more than 35%. Trump will get at least 45% support. I don't know of any way Trump gets under 45% of the popular vote. D. Lars says, much love, Pacman. Question, thoughts on Slavoj Žižek? That's a longer story, but I think that he's a fascinating individual, certainly. I think he won the debate with Jordan Peterson, by the way. R. Gonzalez says, can you explain in brief your Latino heritage? Yeah, I was born in Argentina. My family is Argentinian. My first language was Spanish, and 3 of my 4 grandparents were Argentinian. So I'm Argentinian, and certainly based on the census, I am Hispanic, which is exciting. I guess if you're a Republican and you're into identity politics, it's an exciting thing to be able to say. I guess, do you guys want to listen to a little bit of this, or do you still want to wait on sort of like getting past the propaganda videos? What do people think? I'm kind of up for doing it either way. People want to hear a little bit of this, or people want to wait for now. Seems like people are saying wait. All right, let's just check in and see just a little bit, like just to get a flavor of it.
The man that I arrested, several years before.
When I saw the way that he treated me fairly, I saw the man behind the suit. I started thinking, man, if that worked for me with this law enforcement officer, how can I multiply
This is like something you'd see during the DNC, except completely disingenuous.
so that we can impact this on a larger scale?
This is pretty aggressive, weaponized propaganda. So I think I've sort of heard enough of it for the time being. Thanks to Karma Pooptra, oh my God, for subscribing with Twitch Prime. As you can see, Twitch subscriber 1313, which is a fantastic number. Oh, people are asking about the Kimberly Guilfoyle North Korean propaganda bit. I'm willing to show that, yeah. Actually, that's on my Twitter, so that one should be easy to find. Check this out. This is really wild. I like this.
Leader who will rebuild the promise of America and ensure that every citizen can realize their American dream. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
That is beautifully done. Beautifully, beautifully done. So that was excellent. I really like that one. That one's a good one. What else do we have? Angela says, I've been looking forward to this stream all day. Worked at our local food bank today. Served about 300 families. Shout out to the Flathead Food Bank in Kalispell, Montana. Love the show, David. Oh, let's listen to what Trump is saying.
The streets, and they were violent streets. At the age of 38, he was arrested for bank robbery. While John was in prison, he began reading the Bible and listening to Christian radio.
Oh, my God.
One day he heard Reverend Billy Graham on the radio proclaim, Jesus wants to be Lord of your life. On that day, John dedicated his life to Christ. He spent the rest of his time in prison studying the Bible. When he was released, he heard a knock at his door. It was the officer who put him in jail, FBI Special Agent Richard Beasley, who said, I want you to know that I've been praying for you. Now, Richard and John are best friends, and we are grateful that Richard is here with us today. In the last 10 years since John was released, he has created one of the most successful reentry programs, Hope for Prisoners in Las Vegas. I was glad to speak there earlier this year. As John says, Hope for Prisoners is a movement that began as a dream in a tiny prison cell and is now making a difference in the lives of thousands, truly bringing hope that there is an opportunity and a community that is waiting and willing to offer them a second chance. John, we honor your devotion to showing returning citizens that they are not forgotten. We believe that each person is made by God for a purpose. I will continue to give all Americans, including former inmates, the best chance to build a new life and achieve their own American dream, and a great American dream it is. Now I'd like to ask John and Richard to say a few words.
I can't tell you how grateful I am to have the opportunity to speak here today. Not so long ago,
This is gross, guys, just so you know. I'm not complicit in it.
police and avoiding the police. Not because of anything that the police had done to me personally, but due to the animosity I had allowed to grow inside of me, making me believe that they were my enemy. But today, praise God, I am filled with hope, a proud American citizen who has been given a second chance. My transformation began in a prison cell where I found myself a 3-time convicted felon facing yet another sentence. I gave my life to Jesus and made him a promise that I would spend the rest
Guys, I just can't do the religious propaganda. Gave my life to I just can't do it. Okay, so I just want to hear from you guys a little bit instead. Let's see who else we have here sending in messages. If the DNC offered to have you speak, would you have done it? I mean, I guess I'm not a Democrat, but sure, that seems like a huge opportunity. Can't imagine why they would ask me to speak, but I would have. Scott Phantasm says, if the entire Republican Party were gamers, we'd have world peace. Okay. A shield. Oh, hold on. That's no message there. Grace Lord says, mourning from a wintry Melbourne, Australia. What do you think it will take for Trumpists to turn their backs on their dear leader? If 4 years of nonsense hasn't changed their minds, I don't know what will. Nothing will. It's a waste of time to try. We just have to get turnout. That's all. There's no point in arguing with these people. Plexus says, Buff David Pacman meme I sent to Twitter at dpacman. If you can email them, if you can email me links through my website contact form right now, I will get them up on the stream. Okay. I would love some of the Buff David memes and deep fakes. I didn't get them. I honestly, to be totally frank, most times of day, I can't even look at my Twitter replies feed because it's constantly scrolling garbage mostly. Not that you're sending me garbage, but it's useless. There's just too many messages coming in. I just can't. It's barely useful. And again, I didn't say send it via Twitch. I said send it via my website contact form. Dominic Senior and Sam Talmage send super chats. Sam says, what are your thoughts on Bob A. Bowie? I love it. I love it. I've been listening to Howard Stern 20 years, so I love it. Marlon Brimmer says, David, you and Destiny should have a weekly discussion. Love the chemistry you two have. Yeah, I'd be up for doing something with Stephen, Kenneth, Destiny, Benell II. Eris Skyritale says it's time we all vote blue. That's true. And there seems to be a glitch with my super chats where they are suddenly not coming up. Like there's one about plasma and it's not coming up. Okay, so let me turn the volume back up and I'm going to deal with super chats just momentarily here.
What a great second chance. I also appreciate President Trump's support for law enforcement. I always felt like I had strong support as an FBI agent, but there's nothing worse than knowing you're being second-guessed when you're doing your job. In certain parts of our country right now, law enforcement doesn't feel like they have the support from their local leaders. They're being painted with a broad brush, unfairly, with calls for defunding. But as President Trump knows...
This is what we call a throwaway segment. This is total filler, so I'll keep reading super chats for now. Sealy M Town just subscribed via Twitch Prime and says, love the channel, Bezos bucks for you. Jeff in Boston also subscribed. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? Please vote powerfully. Okay, here we are. Joey 2x says, Guilfoyle went all by the power of Grayskull. Shield says, from one Hispanic person to another, what's your take on pineapple on pizza? So when I used to eat pork and pork-related products, I would love Canadian bacon and pineapple pizza. I've not eaten pork in probably 8 years at this point, and so now I don't see much use for pineapple on pizza. But from a moral standpoint, I'm not against it. Body Blasted says, why don't you debate like Destiny? Your logic and knowledge would be great to listen to. My favorite moments are when you dissect caller arguments. We used to do way more debates, and honestly, it's a combination of so many fall through and we spend so much time on logistics for nothing. And then a lot of them didn't actually do well that we just decided it wasn't worth the time to set them up. Let's go to Rand Paul here.
Good evening. I'm Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky. Donald Trump and I met many years ago before he was running for anything.
Oh, God.
When I first met him, I recall being struck by how down-to-earth he was. He seemed like just a normal guy. Okay, a normal guy with his own plane and helicopter, but who's counting? I was planning a medical mission trip to Guatemala to perform charity eye surgeries.
Guatemala.
And we needed money to fund the trip. Donald Trump offered to help and immediately came through for us. Not only did he support my medical mission to Guatemala, but he also contributed to another mission trip to Haiti a year later. We performed hundreds of cataract surgeries in both countries. Nothing is more amazing than removing the bandages from a person's eyes and watching them as they see their loved ones again. Donald Trump helped me make that happen.
Trump is responsible for ophthalmology.
Opponents, both running for president, and we all know how that turned out. But I'm proud of the job Donald Trump has done as president. I don't always agree with him, but our occasional policy differences are far outweighed by our significant agreements. But more important than simple agreement is accomplishment. President Trump gets things done.
Like what?
When some in Congress wanted a so-called revenue-neutral tax plan, Donald Trump and I worked together to make sure that it was a true tax cut. I brought President Trump an idea
which was not revenue neutral. It exploded the deficit. I'm sure you guys know that.
Plans. Donald Trump overturned years of red tape and bureaucrats, and he made it happen. While others talked about criminal justice reform, President Trump actually signed the First Step Act, the first real reform in a generation, and one that sought to undo the harm that others, like Joe Biden, have done. For those of us who lament the Biden crime bill that locked up a generation of young black men, remember that Biden bragged about a bill that still wreaks havoc among people of color. I'm supporting President Trump because he believes, as I do,
That's not true. He's supporting him because they play golf together.
Fight endless wars. We must not continue to leave our blood and treasure in Middle East quagmires. I flew with him to Dover Air Force Base to honor 2 soldiers whose remains were coming home from Afghanistan. I'll never forget that evening. I can tell you the president not only felt the pain of these families, but that the president is committed to ending this war. President Trump is the first president in a generation to seek to end war rather than start one. He intends to end the war in Afghanistan. He is bringing our men.
This is a great super chat. Ophthalmologist Rand Paul doesn't see Trump's corruption. It does belie credulity, right?
Warfare. I'm proud to finally see a president who agrees with that. Compare President Trump with the disastrous record of Joe Biden, who has consistently called for more war. Joe Biden voted for the Iraq War, which President Trump has long called the worst.
Remember that, of course, that's not true. Number one, the vote was to give a precedent authorization. Now, it backfired, and nobody should have believed that it was merely a theoretical vote. But Joe Biden didn't vote for the war. Number two, Trump is on record on the Howard Stern show saying, I would have gone in. So the idea that Trump, now, however many years later, Trump is against it in historical revisionism.
Afghanistan to build their roads and bridges instead of building them here at home, you need to support President Trump for another term. So to our soldiers and their families, join me in supporting President Trump. To those of you who want lower taxes and better, less expensive health care, join me.
Why don't we have that already? He's had 4 years.
Those of you who want to stand up and fight the socialists poisoning our schools.
Remember, there's no risk of socialism in the United States. Fake enemy, straw man.
Let's rebuild America together.
Wow, ugly. Ugly, but I mean, not obviously nearly as bad as Kimberly Guilfoyle or Don Jr. were, but still bad. It just lies. There were probably, what do you guys think, 40 lies during that? Were there maybe 40 lies? I do have one deep fake Buff David meme to show you guys just briefly. Here it is. I guess it's called Six Pack Man. It's kind of interesting. That's me after working on my lats and growing a beard, if anybody's not seen it before. So, yeah. I don't know if there's any music. There is not. All right, so there we go. That's one piece of mimetic content. Let me refresh this and see if we can get a better sync on audio video, because it wasn't great during Rand Paul's speech. Welcome to everybody just joining us as we approach the top of the hour. We've had a breach of 10,000 viewers live on YouTube and 2,000 viewers live on Twitch. Appreciate all 12,000 of you. Quite frankly, if 300 people were watching, I'd be playing my drums right now, to be perfectly honest. So it is not, it's because of you guys that I'm here right now. I appreciate that. A few other people to thank. Jessica Torres is new member number 5 on my website today. Wendy Wellman is new member number 6. Teresa Stelter is number 7. Paul Spry is number 8. And Brendan Sayer is number 9. You can up the ante. As you can see here, we are trying to reach yesterday's results were 56. So that's where I've set today's goal. Also, thanks Scarder for the raid on Twitch. Brought 173 viewers in, and I very much appreciate that. That's what pushed us over 2,000. So I love that. Zion is asking me, who is my favorite Howard Stern whackpacker? So I really liked Eric the actor. I think Beetlejuice is fantastic. The newer Bigfoot, I think, is just extraordinary. And some of his appearances with Artie in the not so old days, but also not so recent, I think were all really, really great. Seth Barham says, hey, David, have you seen the They Knew ad from ACT.TV? It's a parade of a parade of Republicans from 2016, including Pompeo dunking on Trump. Really well done. I did see it, and it's excellent. Let's listen to this guy.
Near Acadia National Park, where I have over 200 years of family history. I have to confess, I didn't support Trump in 2016. Skeptical that he shared my conservative views, I expected him to flip-flop on his campaign promises. But he has followed through on his promises, including last week when he brokered a deal to end European Union tariffs of 8% on Maine live lobsters and up to 20% on Maine lobster products.
It's all about lobster.
Women. I live on an island with 370 residents, and lobstering is how we provide for our families. Maine's lobstermen are true environmentalists.
I hope people understand that this entire lobster thing was concocted out of thin air. I mean, it was just, it was summoned like a spirit out of no. I mean, it's just a completely fabricated issue that Donald Trump has put together. Obama was against lobsters.
Cater to environmental activists. Although Maine's lobstermen don't fish there, Obama's executive order offended us greatly. It circumvented the Fisheries Council's.
You guys heard that, right? Maine lobstermen don't fish in the affected area, but they were offended by what Barack Obama did. This is conjured out like it's like an evil spirit.
President, fishing families like mine will have a voice. But if Biden wins, he'll be controlled by the environmental extremists who
I thought that being offended wasn't an argument to these guys.
Radical changes that hurt our coastal communities.
Triggered.
I strongly support President Trump's re-election. When he sees something isn't right, he's fearless in fixing it. He listens to working people. He nominates judges who respect the Constitution and the right to life. They were offended, guys. He keeps his word, like eliminating the European tariffs and moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I hope
that's a huge issue. Lobstermen who live on islands are hugely keyed into where the Israeli embassy is. I hope you guys understand that.
Good evening. My name is Chris Peterson. My husband Gary, our family, and I milk 1,000 cows on a dairy farm in Grantsburg, Wisconsin, a small middle American town. Truth be told, until I married my cute farmer from Grantsburg a long time ago, I was a city slicker from Minneapolis, which is about 70 miles south of us. Donald Trump became president in the middle of the Great Depression for dairy farmers in Wisconsin. In 2016, prices were horrible, and longtime generational farms across the nation were going out of business. In 2017, our 120-year-old barn, which served as our milking center, caught fire and burned to the ground. Our cows were spared, but because they needed to be milked 3 times a day, farmers, friends, and complete strangers from all over northern Wisconsin helped haul them to other farms where they stayed until we could rebuild. By the end of 2018, we had a new state-of-the-art robotic milking facility that allows our cows to milk themselves 3 times a day. At about the same time, President Trump's economic boom began helping dairy farmers across the nation.
What boon was that?
And President Trump understands that farming is a complicated, capital-intensive, and risky business. Yeah. More than any president in my lifetime, he has acknowledged the importance of farmers and agriculture. That support and focus on negotiating new trade deals gave us the confidence to rebuild our barn and dairy operation. Business was booming again, and business boomed right until the COVID-19 shutdown in March. Many people probably don't realize that our country is one of the few in the world that produces nearly all of its own food. Fewer still understand how close our food production and distribution system came to collapsing this past spring. But President Trump understood and again took steps to provide the supports we needed. President Trump took—
This seems like a nice lady and everything, but like, who are these speakers? A lobster guy who was offended by Obama? A woman on self-milking cow technology? I mean, this is like They expanded from 2 to 2.5 hours, but for this, I mean, it's a little weird.
What was happening prior to President Trump, you had businesses that were overregulated.
All right, yeah, these two were horrible yesterday, so we're going to mute them. Thanks to Jack's Lantern as well as One Dimensional 007 for subscribing on Twitch. Both of you, you are now subscribers 1,318 and 1,319, as you can see up there. Captain Flank says, I'm surprised this lady didn't blame her barn on Obama. Everything's Obama's fault in this convention. Grace Lord says, is she amnesiac or is she a lot younger than she looks? Jimmy Carter was a farmer. Yes, peanut farmer, indeed. What I would love to see is someone who could come on and give us a reasonable explanation as to why Donald Trump stands hinging forward at the waist. And if it's lifts, just tell us that it's lifts. That would be way more informative than, you know, an offended lobsterman or cows that milk themselves. Yeah, this people are pointing out this could have been one. If you cut down all of this stuff to just the core material, like what we mean is the lunatic speeches like Kimberly Guilfoyle, you could have knocked it out in 2 hours. You really didn't need 4 nights. There's no doubt about that. Let's see. Lance Smith says Michael Cohen has an ad against Donald Trump. He also announced today he's going to be on with Rachel Maddow, which I think is going to be extremely interesting, and I'm looking forward to that very strongly. Joe Grober, the effing game cat, says I should be mispronouncing Hispanic as Hispanic. Yeah, I've heard Trump mispronounce it that way, and it's weird. It's really weird. Carl says, do you think lobsters are his main issue? Very clever. Very clever. We're going to puns. Wigetrick says, lobsters, when are we going to talk about toilets? I'm actually hoping that Donald Trump will make the 10 to 15 flush events that he refers to a key part of his Thursday night speech. I want to figure out why it is that Donald Trump finds himself needing to flush the toilet 10 to 15 times. That's nothing I've ever even heard of happening. So hopefully that'll be a factor. Dong Johnson says self-milking technology is my kind of opportunity zone. Bronx Bjorn says this convention is a case study in cognitive dissonance and false consciousness. Yeah. A Burning Rangers gaming channel says Trump hasn't done jack for Wisconsin dairy farmers. Generational farmers in the state have still been going out of business at historic levels in the past 4 years. That is accurate. Let's go to Larry Kudlow and see if he's been drinking.
Years ago, I worked for Ronald Reagan. More recently, I helped the team craft Donald Trump's economic plan during the campaign. It was a roaring success, inheriting a stagnant economy on the front end of recession.
He doesn't seem drunk tonight.
Program of tax cuts, historic rollback of onerous regulations that crippled small business, unleashing energy to become the world's #1 producer, and free, fair, and reciprocal trade deals to bolster manufacturing, agriculture, technology, and other sectors. The economy was rebuilt in 3 years. Unemployment fell to the lowest rate of 3.5%. Blue collars, African Americans, Hispanics, women, all groups benefited enormously. Everyone was better off. A rising tide lifted all boats. Then came a once-in-100-year pandemic. It was awful. Health and economic impacts were tragic.
Kudlow looks like the guy that could get you a great deal on term life insurance as long as you lie about whether you're a smoker.
And effectively, with an extraordinary rescue for health and safety to successfully fight the COVID virus. A great bipartisan rescue also saved the economy. Right now, our economic health is coming back. With emergency spending and tax cuts, Americans are going back to work. There's a housing boom, there's an auto boom, a manufacturing boom, a consumer spending boom. Stocks are in record territory. A V-shaped recovery is pointing to better than 20% growth in the second half of this year. Now, looking ahead, more tax cuts and regulatory rollback will be in store. Payroll tax cuts for higher wages, income tax cuts for the middle class, capital gains tax cuts for investment, productivity, and jobs. much more regulatory relief for small businesses.
Remember, this is the same promise that they made in 2016. They've had 4 years and they're running on the exact same stuff because they haven't done any of it.
Deep pandemic, who in their right mind would pick the pockets of taxpayers and drain money from their wallets and purses? Look, our economic choice is very clear. Do you want economic health, prosperity, opportunity, and optimism? Or do you want to turn back to the dark days of stagnation, recession, and pessimism? I believe there can't be better economic policies than we've had in recent years. So I say, stay with them. Thank you.
Wow. Moving, inspirational speech. Who's this guy?
I'm John Peterson, owner of a second-generation metal fabrication business called Shooty Metals. We've been stamping our products and services made in the USA since 1957.
Okay, I'm going to mute this guy. Again, my commitment has been mostly to cover like the main speeches, the people that we know. And I want to hear from you guys. This is a great opportunity to get your super chats in. If you're one of the nearly 11,000 folks watching on YouTube, those will pop up on the screen to my left. Grace Lord asks, do you like polluted rivers, lead in your water? How about an oil spill in your backyard? Then vote Trump and Republican today. Well said. Well said. Marlena Harris says, so are they just not going to talk about the virus? Basically, they'll talk about it only in the context of saying Trump has done the best of everything on it. That's the context. Jarrett Roung says, environmental extremist, that one guy said. Great job in PogChamps yesterday, by the way. You played well. I played okay. Okay. Milo K says, here's a challenge. It's our first challenge of the evening. If you hit 967,000 subscribers in the next 2 minutes, that would be by 9:10, I will make another donation to the Biden campaign, hashtag Biden 2020. We are 663 away from 967. There's 11,000 people watching. We should be able to do that to secure Milo's challenge. 967. Yeah, we're only about 650 away. So that should certainly be doable. I'll check back in on that in 2 minutes. Oh, my friend Brian Coldy is here. My sort of like my brother-in-law twice removed by marriage. It's very indirect. Where do they find these people to speak at these events? The BS they talk about is crazy. By the way, we need more members join up. Indeed, Coldy, that is a beautiful message. So let's see. Crystal Surrett is new member number 10. George Megalanes is new member number 11. Andy Malloy is number 12. Russell Clemens is number 13. David Lazarus is number 14. So there it is, Coldy. That's just for you. 14 people just signed up, which is amazing. Amazing. Let's see. Peter Orbach is here. Peter, a longtime supporter. Says, they're all nuts. You're great. CC, please. People want closed caption. I guess I could do some closed captions. Sometimes people get distracted by them. Oh, they're not even on screen. That's not good. Hold on. Let me see if I can adjust this. How's that? So now we actually have them. Does that bother anybody that I've made the screen just marginally smaller so we can see the closed captions? Okay. Mr. Herrera says, you missed my super chat. Scroll up. Yeah, they're coming in so fast. It is not guaranteed that I'm going to get to your super chat, but I guess if you send me one. Okay, here it is. Mr. Herrera says, I think he's trying to secure the rural vote. Certainly, yeah, and that's a play. That's a play. Grace Lee says, hello from Montana. We didn't get hit by the virus until June, so nobody takes it seriously here. A coworker is a widow now. Blames Obama. Surreal. That is crazy. That is crazy. We had a challenge from Milo to get to 967,000 subscribers in 2 minutes. We failed, but here is someone.
Graham Lynch, and I'm honored to speak to you tonight about something that is so important to all of us, our faith. As Americans, we know the first line of the First Amendment protects our freedom of religion. But what we often forget, the actual words are free exercise of religion. That means living out our faith in our daily lives, in our schools, in our jobs, and yes, even in the public square. Our founders did not envision a quiet, hidden faith. They fought to ensure that the voices of faith were always welcomed.
What is this?
Not silenced, not bullied. But during the Obama-Biden administration, these freedoms were under attack. Democrats tried to make faith organizations pay for abortion-inducing drugs. Democrats tried to force
Understand that that's not true. What it was going to be was that insurance would cover without a copay. I can't even do it, guy. This is so stupid.
Those are the facts. But then we, the people, elected Donald Trump. People of faith suddenly had a fierce advocate in the White House. He appointed judges who respect the First Amendment.
By the way, the morning after pill is not an abortion. I skipped over that completely because it's so idiotic.
Would not be forced to violate their beliefs. He withdrew the policies that placed our little girls at risk. And on the world stage, President Trump became the first president to talk about the importance of religious freedom at the United Nations, giving hope to people of faith around the world. In America, we have not yet experienced physical persecution, even though the left has tried to silence us. Even during the pandemic, we saw how quickly life can change. Some Democratic leaders tried to ban church services while marijuana shops and abortion clinics were declared essential. But you know what truly is essential? Our right to worship freely and live our faith in every aspect of life. The Biden-Harris vision for America leaves no room for people of faith.
Biden is more religious than Trump.
Or a football coach. They will force the choice between being obedient to God or to Caesar, because the radical left's God is government power. So in the words of my grandfather, Billy Graham,
oh God,
let us stand for political freedom, moral freedom, religious freedom, and the rights of all Americans. And let's never give in to those who would attempt to take it from us. Tonight, I'm proudly standing in that public square. And I hope and pray you will join me in voting to re-elect President Trump.
Let's hope not. I guess we'll figure out if prayer works soon, huh?
I am Bob Vlasolovich, mayor of Eveleth, a small town in the Iron Range of Minnesota.
All right, yeah,
My father and grandfather earned their livings mining the raw materials that made this.
We're going to put a pause on Bob for a little bit just so we can recover. Thank you to Mers Pat, Rubbin' Your Rhubarb, Mozilla, and Itramwell, as well as Stellamont and Grabbit and Gridcernwit and Slingblade for subscribing over on Twitch. Mitchell Eastham, yeah, I guess she is related to Billy Graham. I don't imagine she would lie about that. Oliver Wilde says, AOC was right. Elephants deserve better than the GOP. Gilgamesh says, look at us lie about lobsters and cows while we tap dance on 176,000 American graves. It's like 182,000 now. Political key jiggling for short attention spanned bootlickers. Yeah. Kevin DeLoe says, have you heard of Charles Herbster? Works for Trump. He's an Angus breeder that I use his bulls. But has he done anything for us farmers? I've heard the name, don't know much about him. Yeah. The super chats continue to come in beautifully. Sean says we could probably do something more productive during this. Rank the Fast and Furious movies or something. I saw the first one and the second one. The first one was better. That's my ranking. Chakaseki says, hey, Dave, could you give a shout out to Alyssa from NYC? She's a new viewer. Welcome, Alyssa. Great to have you here. And look forward to continued quirky quips from Chakaseki. Edo says USPS plus the closing poll gap scares me. Can Joe Biden win? Yes, he can win, but we must overwhelm the vote. That's the reality. We must overwhelm the vote. That's the only way, because they've got a lot of shenanigans up their sleeves. And I've got a story coming up about that tomorrow. We're going to discuss that tomorrow. Milo says it's okay. I will donate to Biden anyway. I'm so embarrassed, Milo. Milo challenged us to see if we could get to 967,000 subscribers on YouTube. We were only 600 away when Milo issued the challenge, and we only got like 100 people to do it. I apologize, Milo. I'm ashamed, personally. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll get some other challenges in via Super Chat. Okay, next speaker coming up. This is someone.
My name is Abby Johnson, and I spent 8 years working for Planned Parenthood. But today, I'm a pro-life activist.
I've heard about her.
In college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant before my promotion to director of the clinic. I truly believed I was helping women.
This actually seems like a weird choice because the country is more in favor than at any point since Roe v. Wade in abortions being legal most of the time. So I'm a bit surprised that they would go hard on abortion. I mean, I know that it's an issue you can raise money on, but I'm not sure that it's the right issue from a voting standpoint.
Who believed in eugenics. Her goal when founding Planned Parenthood was to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods. And every year, Planned Parenthood celebrates its racist roots by presenting the Margaret Sanger Award. Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new quota to meet, an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told, abortion is how we make our money. But the tipping point came a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction.
Oh my God.
I'll never forget what the doctor said next.
This is like vile, vile propaganda. And, you know, the thing that is really dishonest about this is, you know, there's a lot of medical procedures that if described in detail, many of us wouldn't love the description of it. That's a different question from whether something should be legal and whether old white Republican men should get to decide on what's legal. And that's the game that they play. I hope people understand that. It seems like people in the chat do understand that. Okay, maybe some of you don't, but it seems most people do understand that. This is crazy. This is actually just straight up crazy. But I guess it's still marginally less crazy than Guilfoyle, right? To some degree, I don't know. Mark Davis says, when I was a Christian, I was thought to pray in silence privately. Otherwise, it's grandstanding and for show. You're not the only person who's religious who has told me that, or who was religious. Sean Tedrow astutely points out pro-life, 180,000 dead. Yeah. Yes, and Trump saying it is what it is. 180,000 dead. Trump asked about it, says it is what it is to Jonathan Swan. Okay, people want to hear a little bit more of this drivel.
For global health groups that promote abortion. That same year, he overturned an Obama-Biden rule that allowed government subsidy of abortion. He appointed a record number of pro-life judges, including 2 Supreme Court justices. And importantly, he announced a new rule protecting the rights of healthcare workers objecting to abortion, many of whom I work with every day. Life is a core tenet of who we are as Americans. And this election is a choice between 2 radical anti-life activists and the most pro-life president we have ever had.
Remember, Joe Biden's more religious than Trump.
You to action. Go door to door, make calls, talk to your neighbors and friends, and vote on November 3rd. Take action that reelects our president, and do it with our very most vulnerable Americans in mind, the ones who haven't been born yet.
Really horrible. I mean, just truly, truly horrible. Thanks to Big Puffy Cake for subscribing on Twitch with the message. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for the Prime subscription. Uh-oh, it looks like they're going to bring out one of the Covington kids. It looks like they're going to do it, which is crazy. Really, really crazy. Steve Veltraino says, this is so disgustingly disingenuous that it literally makes me nauseous. I'm only somewhat more enthused about the Biden campaign. Listen, I understand what you're saying, but I think the differences at this point are dramatic. These are dramatic, dramatic differences. This kid is about to speak, okay? So I hope everybody's ready. I want to say thanks to Don Lynch, who's new member number 15 on my website today. Nicholas Collart is new member number 16. Shelley Pint is new member number 17. And Darius Strassel is new member number 18. Sorry, don't want to miss Mark Matta, who is number 19. And Abigail McKellar, new member number 20 at joinpacman.com. The reason we're looking at 56 is because that was yesterday's number.
On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial last year. Before I begin, I'd like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to share some of my story and why it matters so much to this November's election.
Sounds like there's a dinner going on in the background.
March for Life in Washington, D.C., where I demonstrated in defense of the unborn. Later that day, I bought a Make America Great Again hat because our president, Donald Trump, has distinguished himself as one of the most pro-life presidents in the history of our country.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to express my support for him too.
Nauseating.
Looking back now, how could I have possibly imagined that the simple act of putting on that red hat would unleash hate from the left and make myself the target of network and cable news networks nationwide? Being from Kentucky, the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln, my classmates and I visited the Lincoln Memorial. I found myself face to face with Nathan Phillips and other professional protesters looking to turn me into the latest poster child showing why Trump is bad, while the media portrayed me as an aggressor with a relentless smirk on my face. In reality, the video confirms I was standing with my hands behind my back and an awkward smile on my face that hid two thoughts. One, don't do anything that might further agitate the man banging a drum in my face. And two, I was trying to follow a family friend's advice, never to do anything to embarrass your family, your school, or your community. Before I knew what was happening, it was over. One of Mr. Phillips' fellow agitators yelled out, "We got him. It's all right here on video. And we won, Grandpa." What I thought was a strange encounter quickly developed into a major news story, complete with video footage. My life changed forever in that one moment. The full war machine of the mainstream media revved up into attack mode.
The what?
They did so without researching the full video of the incident, without ever investigating Mr. Phillips' motives, or without ever asking me for my side of the story. And do you know why? Because the truth was not important. Advancing their anti-Christian, anti-conservative, anti-Donald Trump narrative was all that mattered. And if advancing their narrative ruined the reputation and future of a teenager from Covington, Kentucky, well, so be it.
Covington.
That would teach him not to wear a MAGA hat. I learned what was happening to me had a name. It was called being canceled, as in annulled, as in revoked,
They're going
as
full
in
in on
made
that.
void. Canceled is what's happening to people around this country who refuse to be silenced by the far left. Many are being fired, humiliated, or even threatened. And often, the media is a willing participant. But I would not be canceled. I fought back hard to expose the media for what they did to me, and I won a personal victory. While much more must be done, I look forward to the day that the media returns to providing balanced, responsible, and accountable news coverage. I know President Trump hopes for that too. And I know you'll agree with me when we say that no one in this country has been a victim of unfair media coverage more than President Donald Trump. In November, I believe this country must unite around a president who calls the media out and refuses to allow them to create a narrative instead of reporting the facts. I believe we must join a president who will challenge the media to return to objective journalism. And together, I believe we must all embrace our First Amendment rights and not hide in fear of the media,
Inspiring
or from the
speech.
tech companies, or from the outrage mob either. This is worth fighting for. This is worth voting for. And this is what Donald Trump stands for. Thank you all for listening to me tonight. And one more thing. Let's make America great again.
Wow. What a defiant, principled message to people who are already voting for Donald Trump. Okay, here is... Who's this? I don't know. It's somebody.
I'm Pam Bondi.
Oh.
Our party's theme tonight
I
is
didn't even recognize her.
Land of Opportunity.
Remember when she stopped investigating Trump when he handed her cash?
And deliverance. You can't help but be proud to call this country home. But for Joe Biden, it's been the land of opportunism, not opportunity. As a career prosecutor and former Attorney General of Florida, I fought corruption, and I know what it looks like, whether it's done by people wearing...
Trump literally donated to her, and the investigation into Trump University disappeared. She fought corruption. This is beyond parody.
Look at Joe Biden as the model of integrity. But when you look at his 47-year career in politics, the people who benefited are his family members, not the American people. Let's take a closer look. We all know about Joe's son, Hunter Biden. A corrupt Ukrainian oligarch put Hunter on the board of his gas company, even though he had no experience in Ukraine or in the energy sector. None. Yet he was paid millions to do nothing. He only had one qualification that mattered. He was the son of the man in charge of distributing U.S. aid to Ukraine. And recently reported information revealed that a few months after Hunter Biden joined that corrupt company's board, the Obama-Biden State Department began doing business with them, even when it remained under investigation for corruption. And it gets worse. That very same company was being investigated by a Ukrainian prosecutor. Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States, threatened to withhold aid to Ukraine.
Trump's charity was found to have been using the donations as a slush fund. She took money from Trump and stopped investigating him, and she's coming up and talking about Biden?
His campaign for president. Now let's talk about China.
Oh,
Fact. Joe Biden flew to China on Air Force Two with Hunter along for the ride. They said he was just there as a family member, but we know that's untrue. In Beijing, Hunter didn't just go sightseeing. He had meetings with his Chinese bank partners. Hunter even arranged for his dad to meet with one of the partners. 10 days later, those Chinese communist bankers approved millions to go to Hunter's firm.
Honestly, is this a voting issue in the sense that Trump's way more corrupt and people still vote for him? So, like, would this swing any votes? Even if her claims were true.
Virus. To this day, Hunter controls a 10% stake in that firm. And Joe Biden's done more than look the other way on China. He said, the Chinese aren't our competition. Come on, man. They're not bad folks. Come on, Joe.
Okay.
Talk to the folks in Middle America who lost countless jobs to China while your son was getting rich with them. But there's more. Fact. There have been numerous press reports that have shown other close Biden family members benefited from Joe's 47-year political...
Trump's entire presidency is lining the pockets of he and his family. How is this a viable attack line? I guess if people are idiots only.
Houses in Iraq, Joe Biden's close family member, who, you guessed it, had no experience in the industry and no experience in Iraq. A company official bragged that it helps to have a family member, the vice president, as partner. The family member put it more bluntly by saying, there's a line of 747s filled with cash ready to invest. Now let's follow the money down south. Again, as reported in the press, yet another close family member of Joe's set his sights on Costa Rica and Jamaica, where millions of dollars flowed from the Obama-Biden administration in taxpayer-backed loans.
I don't think these attacks are going to land. First of all, it's too complicated. The people they need to appeal to don't really understand something. Costa Rica, they're just not going to. I don't think this is going to land.
Of conduct. And that's just what he did as vice president.
All right, this stream is not going super well, so let's switch over to this one.
President. How many American families would be allowed to get away with this? Why should there be one standard for the elite political class and another set of rules for the rest of us? When millions of Americans voted for Donald Trump, they knew he'd be different, and he is. He's a tough, no-nonsense outsider who can't be bought or intimidated. He won't even take a paycheck from the American people. He donates his paycheck to charities across this country. Democrats have been lecturing America about integrity for 4 years, while their nominee has been writing the textbook on abuse of power for 40 years. If they want to make this election a choice between who's saving America and who's swindling America, bring it on. Joe says he'll build back better. Yeah, build the Bidens back better. Our president is in this to build a safer, better, and stronger America. And he will finish what he started to keep this a real land of opportunity for everyone.
Why didn't he even start? Why hasn't he done any of it yet?
Secure your ballot or register to vote. Text VOTE to 88022. Remember, the best is yet to come.
Okay. Pam Bondi, who famously ended an investigation into Trump University as AG in Florida when Trump donated, I believe it was 25 grand to her campaign for re-election. She talked to us about fighting corruption, if you can believe that. Super chats are flowing in. I love hearing from folks. I believe that I want to hear this. These little, these pre-recorded Trump things are wild.
You're what? You've got 70, 80 years on this earth. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to make that difference? Are you going to say, I was there?
Oh, sorry. I thought it was an actual Trump thing where he shows how out of touch he is. It's not. Okay. Super chats are coming in. Tom Miller says, strange strategy having Pam Bondi calling Hunter Biden unqualified right before Trump's children speak any moment now. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Austin Becker says, wasn't Trump pro-choice for a long time? Of course. Yeah. When Trump was 68 years old, he met a kid he liked and was like, I'm glad that kid wasn't aborted. I'm now against abortion. Like, that's the story Trump tells that we're supposed to believe as to how at 68, he decided he's no longer in favor of abortion. Dave Wampler says words per minute very low in these speeches. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Benefi says Pam is a wacko, but I would still marry her. Okay. I guess some people want to hear from Kimberly Guilfoyle because she's so bonkers, but no, it's not really it's just a supercut sort of thing. Peter Orbach says, David, the RNC is just seeing how much they can get away with this election. They don't care about democracy at all this time. It's an experiment. Your guess is as good as mine. Chef's Pond says, at least this time Pam Bondi is more well-prepared with a written speech than trying to talk off the top of her head like she did at the impeachment. That was really bad. I don't know how many of you saw that, but that was really bad. Thanks to Ambrose Breton and Sanity, who are subscribers 1333 and 1334 on Twitch, which I very much appreciate. Also want to say thanks to Karen Sweeney, who is new member number 21 at joinpacman.com. We do have a coupon code 2020 now, which just chops 66% right off of memberships. And we have a goal of 56 just because that's the number we got to yesterday. Nothing special about the number 56. Okay. I am having that weird problem where the super chats aren't updating on screen. So let's put the audio back up and I'm going to deal with that.
Of powerful influence and authority, President Trump has proven that when the stakes are highest, he is proud to entrust many of our nation's most crucial jobs to women.
The number of dedicated, amazing, brilliant, relentless women that are dedicated to the country and to the president and to preserving the American dream is one of the greatest, if not the greatest things I'll ever be a part of.
All right, super chats are back. Megan Whitfield says, I left this as a voicemail, but I'd like to bring it up now. How many deplorables are out there hiding in the wings and identify as the silent majority? Are we worried about that? Unpredictable. Here's Tiffany Trump.
Since speaking at the Republican convention 4 years ago, so much has changed for the world, for our country, and for my family. Like so many students across the world, I graduated from law school during the pandemic. Our generation is unified in facing the future in uncertain times, and many of us are considering what kind of country we want to live in. As a recent graduate, I can relate to so many of you who might be looking for a job. My father built a thriving economy once, and believe me, he will do it again. This election, I urge each and every one of you to transcend political boundaries.
She's super relatable, right, guys?
Freedom versus oppression, for opportunity versus stagnation, a fight to keep America true to America. I urge you to make judgment based on results and not rhetoric. If you believe in criminal justice reform, there is only one president that passed the First Step Act, giving people a second chance, a chance at a life once again. And if you believe in expanding quality and affordable health care, only President Trump, my father, signed the right to try into law the Favored Nations Clause and other actions to lower drug prices and keep Americans from getting ripped off. People must recognize that our thoughts, our opinions, and even the choice of who we are voting for may and are being manipulated and visibly coerced by the media and tech giants. If you tune into
no mention of foreign interference,
opinion or another, and what you share, if it does not fit into the narrative that they seek to promote, then it is either ignored or deemed a lie, regardless of the truth. This manipulation of what information we receive impedes our freedoms. Rather than allowing Americans the right to form our own beliefs, this misinformation system keeps people mentally enslaved to the ideas they deem correct. This has fostered unnecessary fear and divisiveness amongst us. Why are so many in media and technology, and even in our own government, so invested in promoting a biased and fabricated view? Ask yourselves, why are we prevented from seeing certain information? Why is one viewpoint promoted while others are hidden?
This is sort of the argument where, like, anytime we have an adult conversation about climate science, you have to let some whack job in. You know, this is exactly how they justify that. Every view, anybody who wants to be heard must be heard on equal footing on corporate media anytime. If some right-wing nut demands to speak at a college, they must be allowed, or it's discrimination and censorship. This is how they get to that.
Students with contrary opinions are too afraid to speak. Many students find themselves suppressing their beliefs to fit into what the acceptable groupthink is. In short, our nation suffers by inhibiting our diversity of thought and inclusion of ideas. Working together outside of our political comfort zones will accomplish so much more. Some cynical politicians do not seem to believe in the miracle of America. Well, I do. As Maximo Alvarez said so eloquently last night, if freedom is lost in this country, there is nowhere else to go. Having hope is not weakness, and believing in miracles is a gift from God. So tonight, I want to tell you the uncensored truth of what we believe in. We believe in equality of opportunity. We believe in freedom of thought and expression. Think what you want. Seek out the truth. Learn from those with different opinions, and then freely make your voice heard to the world. We believe in school choice because a child's zip code in America should not determine their future.
That's code for defund public schools, everybody.
For all faiths. And we believe in the American spirit, a country founded on ideas, not identity, a country where our differences are embraced, and the only country where the word dream has been attached to it. Because in America, your life is yours to chart. So if you're hearing these things and thinking to yourself, that is the kind of country that I want to live in, well, whether you realize...
It's sort of a less crazy but equally wrong version of the Guilfoyle speech if you actually listen to the arguments.
That so many other politicians employ. They mask themselves in disguises of decency as they try to pressure us to mask our own identities and beliefs. My father is the only person to challenge the establishment, the entrenched bureaucracy, big pharma, and media monopolies to ensure that Americans' constitutional freedoms are upheld and that justice and truth prevail. My father does not run away from challenges, even in the face of outright hatred, because fighting for America is something he will sacrifice anything for. He dreams big dreams for our country, and he is relentless at achieving them. You see, Make America Great Again is not a slogan for my father. It is what drives him to keep his promise of doing what is right for American citizens. The energy of change and opportunity is with us. God has blessed us with unstoppable spirit, his spirit, the American spirit. My dad has proven to be driven by that spirit. He has demonstrated his faith and his uncompromising heart and actions. My father has made me believe that America can truly be great again. If you care about living your life without restraints, about rebelling against those who would suppress your voice and building your American dream, then the choice in this election is clear. A vote for my father, Donald J. Trump, is a vote to uphold our American ideals. Be true to yourself and stay true to the dream of America. Thank you, and God bless you all.
All right, so we're going to have a parade of Trumps coming in today. Okay, here's Kim Reynolds, the governor of Iowa. We're going to skip this one, at least for the time being. A lot of people very much reacting to Tiffany Trump. Francisco Resto says everyone so far sounds fake. It's so cringe. You know, a lot of comments about her physical appearance. I don't think that that's really super relevant. You know, Bronx says, I didn't hear a word she said, too busy focusing on all the nip and tuck. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, the physical appearance stuff it's not where I would necessarily focus. David Gora says apparently her speech will also state that the Holy Spirit is the American spirit that her dad embodies. Yeah, that's how they see Trump, as a pseudo deity. I don't know that his kids really do. I mean, they're saying it, but anyway. John Hagen says the entire world is scared that Trump will win 4 more years. I'm guessing you are Norwegian, given the currency, the Norwegian kroner. Yes, I'm getting messages daily from people all over the world. I got messages from Canadians today and Belgians and all sorts of different folks all over the world. Shelby Koch says, happy that Tiffany got the chance to speak so she could stay in the will. Truly the American dream. Yeah, as far as I knew, Trump and Tiffany didn't get along well, but she was there, you know. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes. Coordinate says, not a single word about her relationship with her father. Suspicious. Oh, well, that goes to my point. Again, who cares? But Renholder says, who's writing these speeches and why are they so evil? Kyle Downey says they're going slow to calm the crazy last night. It does seem like they've decided to just do kind of like a more boring evening. And maybe it is part of some deliberate plan. I mean, a lot of these were planned in advance, so it may or may not be the case. I don't know. Super Guy says, I guarantee you Trump had to pay Tiffany to speak. Yeah, so a lot of people seem to think that there was something not particularly genuine about that Tiffany Trump speech. Melania Trump speaking, I believe at 20 past the hour, so we're, I think, about 35 minutes from Melania Trump's speech. A few other people I want to thank before I fall too far behind. Zenon Schmidt is new member number 22 today. AT is new member number 23. Joseph Hernandez is number 24. And Judy Warren is new member number 25. That's almost halfway. That's great. Let's see. Social Anxiety says, my dad is God. My God is dad. Colin McMorrow asks, what the hell did we just watch? That's not an unusual sentiment after night one and what we've seen so far of night two. Jamie says that this is mind-numbing. Matt asks how much was added to her trust fund for that. A lot of suspicion that was not genuine. A lot of suspicion. And I don't totally disagree with people from what we know, but I really don't care. I mean, whether she gets along with Trump or not, she's wrong that we should reelect Trump, right? That's the important piece, and that's all I can say. Cy Borgren has just gifted a Twitch subscription, which puts us now one away from the very coveted subscriber 1337. Very, very close to 1337, much coveted. It is unclear who it is that is going to achieve that. But I know that is often when we get to it. And it is Crabens14 who is number 1337. Let's listen to Mike Pence.
Because of who we are and because of what we are. A country where a boy born into poverty in a log cabin, raised right here on the frontier of Indiana, could educate himself, become a lawyer, become a president of the United States who would preserve the Union, abolish slavery, and save the nation. As a fellow Hoosier, visiting Lincoln's boyhood home has always been a treasured experience for me and my family. It's a place that made Lincoln. It shaped Lincoln and defined the man that Lincoln would become. America is the land of opportunity. As President Donald Trump declared at Mount Rushmore,
I'm going to grab a refill while Pence talks.
Be anything. And together, we can achieve anything. Every day, President Donald Trump is fighting to protect the promise of American liberty. Every day, our president's been fighting to expand the reach of the American dream. And on every single day, without fail, President Donald Trump has been fighting for you. So tonight, I'd like to introduce you to a few remarkable Americans who represent that solemn pledge, who embody our president's unbreakable devotion to ensuring that America is a land of unlimited opportunity for all. Jack is an 8-year-old from Wisconsin who was struggling academically and socially in school. But Jack's mom, Sarah, who works 3 jobs to support her son, applied for Wisconsin's school choice voucher program.
We're glad that we were able to get the school choice voucher to go to that school. With Jack, he would have slipped through the cracks in public schools, and having the option to go to a school that fits him has been a real game changer for us. And I know that because of that opportunity that he's going to succeed and he's going to achieve that goal of being an apparatus engineer, if that's what he chooses to stick with.
Laura McClin is a mother of another inspiring boy, Jordan. Jordan has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a fatal muscle weakening disorder. Jordan was at my side in Indiana when, as governor, I signed a law allowing terminally ill patients to access experimental drugs not yet approved by the FDA. In 2018, President Trump signed the landmark federal Right to Try bill into law. Thanks to the president's leadership, critically ill patients have the right to access life-saving experimental treatments.
we started fighting for right to try, which basically says if you have a terminal illness and there's a drug that exists and you don't qualify for the clinical trial, there's no other way to receive it. This is a unique pathway that allows you to have access. And you made us a promise back in Indiana that you would do whatever it took to help Jordan, and we're so grateful that you joined us on this journey and stuck it out until it became law so that other people could access treatments.
So, Jordan, if President Trump was standing right there, what would you say to him today about right to try?
Thank you for being a hero to everybody in the country.
Judge Cheryl Allen made history in 2007 when she became the first African-American woman to be elected to serve on the Pennsylvania Superior Court. It's because of leaders like Judge Allen that our nation has overcome our greatest challenges. In this time of racial division in the country, do you see faith and values and the strong stand that President Trump has taken for equality of opportunity as a pathway toward bringing the country together?
As a senior citizen, I'll leave it at that. I know what racism feels like, but I also know that but for my being in this country, I would have never been able to achieve the things that I have been able to achieve. There are injustices, but the way to deal with those injustices is for people to sit down across the table and talk and come up with solutions. I do believe that President Trump is committed to that. In 2016, I have to confess that I really did not know candidate Trump at the time, but I have to say that he really won me over.
Gino's a truck driver from Ohio who heard politicians for years make empty promises about defending American jobs, only to see those promises broken again and again. But in 2019, when General Motors closed its plant in Lordstown, Ohio, President Donald Trump refused to stand by and watch it happen. And as Gino observed, this president reached out to General Motors to find a way to bring jobs back to Lordstown. And plans were soon set into motion to create Lordstown Motors.
President Trump says, this is how we fix it. And I thought, well, that's a simple solution. There's no other president that could have done it. There's no one that has even tried to do it. President Trump's a doer. He appreciates every one of us, and I know he does. I've seen it. When he said, make America great again, that was his task. That wasn't his slogan. That was his task. And every hat you see that says MAGA on it, that's what your president's doing for you. Thank you, Mr. President, for keeping the promises that you made.
And then there's Pastor Aaron Johnson. Today, he's the executive director of the Tulsa Dream Center, a nonprofit that provides education and medical services and food to those in need. AJ, you've got a great personal story. When you see the way this president, this administration have been leaning in to create opportunities, investments in communities around the country to create jobs, expanding educational choice, what does that mean to the families that you serve every day?
It means so much to our families. I did grow up in a single-parent home, and so we serve over 600 boys and girls right now on a daily basis, even in COVID. And so for us to give these moms to have an opportunity to take more money on their check, on their paycheck home back to them, to have their children be able to go to a school.
All right, I'm back. Are we getting to the identity politics part of the evening yet?
So much to us. There's been so much greater opportunity for individuals to come together in any walk of life. People have really been able to see such a positive change and been filled with hope, especially throughout this time.
Lydia left Hearth.
This is really bad. The whole segment is really bad. Okay, what are people saying? Kyle Hopper says injecting bleach if this Pence bit is much longer. That's a good one. Sean Quillen says mother won't approve of him being so close to that woman. Yeah, Mike Pence has to be chaperoned. Oliver Wilde says it's telling that according to today's Republican Party, the last remarkable Republican president, Lincoln, was born 2 centuries ago. We agree. Yeah, it's interesting how there's no mention of Bush. And of course, there's no chance Bush is going to show up. Because Bush, I don't think, is actually voting for Donald Trump. It seems pretty clear that he's not. Let's see what else we've got going on today. Wow, a lot of craziness happening in YouTube chat. Twitch chat, respectful tonight, although some people did get banned before we even got started. A lot of people worried about Mother. Sean Quillen, does mother know he's out past his bedtime? Dive Down says, I quote ABC, the math is simple. If Donald Trump wins the same states he won 4 years ago, he'll be president for 4 more years. Yes, simple and yet deep and insightful for sure. Let's see. Bowser says the Lincoln Project leaked Tiffany's speech and it was identical. They have also leaked Pompeo's and they're going to leak Eric's. I wonder how they're getting them. I don't fully understand that. That's interesting. Zachary says we desperately need a Steve Bannon appearance. Oh, he's just like a coffee boy, guys. Why would he be here? Chef's Pawn says, are you still in amazement that they still try to draw similarities from Lincoln to Trump? They do realize the party flipped ideology after Lincoln died. They don't realize anything. They don't realize anything. Here's the way you have to think about this. If they do something and then you say, do they realize that X? The answer is no, they don't realize it. That you can, if you bet that way, you will most likely be right most of the time. Cooper asks, I wonder why Barron isn't speaking. Word is he doesn't agree with his father's politics. I've never heard that. I think it's just a kid and they're keeping a kid out of it. Michael Anton Sue says, love your show. Ziltoid the Omniscient says, mother always did love weekends at the cabin. Yes, very, very much so. Oscar Blackberg says, if Bush showed up here, Trump would grab it. Nicely done. Nicely done. Thank you to Cat Daddy Eddie for subscribing with Prime over on Twitch, as well as Dad is Cranky, S-Cargo Skill, Comrade, Shorty, Crabins, and a bunch of other folks. We are very slowly but surely building up our presence on Twitch. A lot of people want to get a word in today. Sweet Baby Bladefoot says they can't hold up Teddy Roosevelt as a great Republican because he a trust buster and conservationist. Yeah, Trump doesn't mention Teddy Roosevelt too much, but he has mentioned him before in certain situations, not super frequently. Let's listen in a little bit to what's going on.
When Crystal said that she was looking for a family to adopt her baby, God showed me exactly what I had to do.
Wow.
Without hesitation, I told her that my family would welcome her baby through adoption. Today, our beautiful daughter Hope is a thriving 2-year-old. Crystal is fast approaching 3 years of recovery. She is a dear friend and a constant inspiration to me and others. I hold a special place in my heart for those facing opioid addiction, and that's why I'm enormously grateful to the president for his leadership in fighting this deadly enemy. Through his efforts, we're turning the tide on the crisis of addiction. President Trump declared the opioid crisis to be a public health emergency and then secured $6 billion in new federal funding to help Americans fight opioid abuse. He invested an additional $100 million to stop the opioid crisis in rural America. And in a move that strikes at the root of the problem, he implemented a safer prescribing plan aimed at reducing opioid prescriptions by over 1/3 within 3 years. This is an effort that stops addiction before it ever gains a hold in someone's life. And it's having an impact. Drug overdose deaths decreased in 2018 for the first time in 30 years. Many of the states hardest hit by the opioid crisis are seeing the largest drop in deaths. We're seeing that doctors are writing fewer prescriptions for opioid pain drugs. These are significant improvements that have a meaningful impact. I think we are fortunate, America, to have a president who cares deeply for the downtrodden and who works tirelessly to find solutions. A president who doesn't just talk about problems, but stops and helps.
Not the Trump I've seen.
President Trump is the leader we've needed the last 4 years, and he is the leader we need for the next 4. You see, Donald Trump is the right president at the right time. Let's make sure he's reelected on November 3rd. I pray God's blessings on you and your family, and may God bless America.
Okay, here is...
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Nunez, and I'm proud to serve as Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Florida.
Okay.
Tonight, I'm honored to share my story of faith, family.
I heard that she's really kooky. Let's see.
As the daughter of Cuban immigrants, my story began in 1959, before I was born, when my parents' dreams of a prosperous life became a nightmare. Chaos spread quickly when Fidel Castro took control of Cuba. The government confiscated private property, stealing people's homes, farms, and businesses. For my parents, the difficult decision to flee communist Cuba came when the Castro regime abolished religious freedom. Fellow Americans, the fabric of our nation is in peril.
So we're going to get back to this. It's this sort of anti-Castro Cuban-American propaganda. She may start sort of building up and crescendoing like Kimberly Guilfoyle, but I do want to get to a very powerful super chat. This is the biggest super chat of the night, and it may not be exceeded. William Downs says, thank you for helping those like myself that need deprogramming. Here we go now. From a lifetime of conservatism, get their minds straight. You are an inspiration. Keep it up. William, thank you. I'm glad I was able to help, and I really appreciate the generous super chat. Let's get back to the wackiness happening at the RNC.
And government control. Or we can choose the path of freedom and opportunity that was paved by those who sacrificed everything to preserve the American dream for future generations. I have faith that Americans will choose the right path. In 2016, our country yearned for a leader who would work tirelessly to jumpstart our economy and fight for hardworking Americans.
Remember, job growth slowed when Obama left and Trump came into office.
America first. His pro-growth, pro-jobs agenda has ushered in historically low unemployment, record job creation, higher wages, and rising homeownership. The president is fighting to rescue American jobs and industries for places like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Puerto Rico. Jobs that were needlessly shipped overseas. He's defended our religious freedom, stood with democratic allies like Colombia, and shown unwavering resolve while confronting tyrants in countries like Venezuela, Cuba, China, and Nicaragua. Let us join our president.
What exactly has Trump done to confront Cuba? I mean, it's like, I know he wants to, and that's the rhetoric, but what has he actually done?
President requires action. Join me tonight, Commander-in-Chief, who has a bold agenda that safeguards the rights and freedoms protected under our Constitution. Mother of three, and the first Latina Lieutenant Governor.
It's interesting how the closed captions are like a sentence or two ahead of the speech.
To share my story, which is really your story, and the story of a nation that has opened its doors, lifted its people, and yielded success in a way only the United States of America can. Together, let's ensure 4 more years for President Donald J. Trump.
Scary.
So that he can continue protecting our republic. And so one day, our children can proudly tell the story of what our generation did to defend the values of faith, family, and freedom. Thank you. May God bless each one of you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Completely whacked out speech to get us only 15 minutes from Melania Trump, who we are expecting very soon. Here's an interesting question from Prankish Track, who asks via YouTube Super Chat, do you think the RNC will cling to Trump if he loses or give up? They'll just do nothing for the lame duck period, and then they'll be gone. Let's see what this is about. Let me briefly just switch streams. I think that this one is better.
President, for hosting this naturalization ceremony here at the White House. To our candidates, it is my honor to administer the oath of allegiance and welcome you as our fellow citizens. Candidates for naturalization, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby declare an oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity
This is
to any
crazy.
foreign prince,
It's a naturalization ceremony, but you would think they're almost pledging allegiance to Trump.
of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend
This is crazy.
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that I will perform non-combatant service
This is completely crazy. I mean, this is like the worst combination of unhinged nationalism, jingoism, pandering, identity politics. What am I missing? But I know that there's more here. I just don't know what I'm missing. Bay Photo says, is he going to do a deportation ceremony next? That would be something. That would be something. Unhinged propaganda, tokenism. It is certainly tokenism. Fear-mongering garbage. Yes. Fascism, not so much. Okay. Jeez.
On behalf of the Department of Homeland Security, it is my honor to call you my fellow Americans. Mr. President, I want to again commend you for your dedication to the rule of law and for restoring integrity to our immigration system. Thank you
The
for
naturalization ceremony which praises Trump.
at the White House today.
Congratulations, that's fantastic. It's really great, thank you. And I want to thank Acting Secretary Wolf, doing a phenomenal job in so many ways. Today, America rejoices as we welcome 5 absolutely incredible new members into our great American family. You are now fellow citizens of the greatest nation on the face of God's earth. Congratulations.
All right, people are angry that the sink hasn't been fixed, so we'll go back here.
Nation on the face of God's earth. Congratulations. Great going. You followed the rules, you obeyed the laws, you learned your history, embraced our values, and proved yourselves to be men and women of the highest integrity. It's not so easy. You went through a lot, and we appreciate you being here with us today.
Yeah, it's sort of a look at my African-American moment, except it's look at my immigrants, as Rising Phoenix points out via Super Chat.
Priceless possession anywhere in the world. It's called American citizenship. There is no higher honor and no greater privilege.
Not super useful now. Can't get into many countries with that passport.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to recognize the 5 new citizens who join us today. Robert Martin Ramirez Alcazar is from Bolivia and has been a lawful permanent resident of the United States since 2013. Robert? Hi, Robert. He and his wife are raising 3 beautiful children. In 2017, Robert achieved the dream of starting his own business, a construction company that now employs 5 workers. Robert says, I love this country. I want to respect the law. America has helped me so much in life. Robert, thank you very much for your devotion.
Thank you for the opportunities to the United States.
Well, thank you, and good luck with that company. Soon you'll have hundreds of employees, I think, right? Could happen, it will. Rima Gideon is from Lebanon and is the proud mother of 3 children. Rima speaks English, Arabic, and French, and earned a degree in psychology. In other words, she can figure me out. She now works as a daycare teacher in Virginia. Rima says, I feel blessed to be a loyal citizen of the greatest country in the world. a country that has given me the opportunity of a lifetime to realize my potential and my dreams. Rima, congratulations. It's really great. Thank you. Well, that's very good. Thank you very much.
I think the Ramirez guy just blinked Morse code for torture.
Narayan is a phenomenal success, born in India, came to the United States 13 years ago. Sudha is a talented software developer, and she and her husband are raising two beautiful, wonderful children, the apples of your life, right? Yes, they are. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations. Fantastic job. Thank you. Namet Abdelzim Awal-Said.
Whoa.
He's from Sudan, and that's a beautiful name.
That's some risky reading there.
Permanent resident since 2012. She is the married mother of three beautiful children, earned a master's degree and PhD in animal nutrition from the University of Wyoming, great place, great state. And she is a trained veterinarian. She's also worked as a substitute teacher for the Alexandria Public Schools since 2004. That's fantastic. Well, Daibat, thank you very much, and congratulations. It's my honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Salah Abdul Samad has been looking forward to this day since he arrived in the United States from Ghana in 2015. Salih speaks 5 languages and works the medical field. Salih says that the American citizenship means everything to me in my life. It cannot be measured or quantified. I have the chance to work hard and
all these 5 people are voting Biden, right?
Know that I am in the safe country like America. That really is something because I know they have my back. Salih, thank you very much. Congratulations. Fantastic job. Congratulations to everybody. With the rights and freedoms each of you now enjoys as citizens, there is no dream beyond your wildest reach because Americans can do anything. Today, you have also accepted the profound duties and responsibilities that come with American citizenship. By swearing the oath of allegiance.
How has Trump not gotten coronavirus yet?
Unbreakable covenant with our nation. You have pledged your undying loyalty to the American people, the American Constitution, and the American way of life. The history and heritage of the United States are now yours to preserve and pass down to the next generation. Our culture, our traditions, and our values are now yours to uphold and live by. The right so dear to every American, granted by us and granted by God, and enshrined in our glorious Bill of Rights, are now yours to support, protect.
Yeah, it's a good point in the chat. This might almost turn off some of Trump's base. It's, I guess the idea is, could it bring some centrists who are worried Trump's a xenophobic lunatic, but does it risk turning off some people in Trump's base? A fair question.
Flag. Congratulations again to all of you. May God bless you, and may God bless our great country, America. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a good message, Breeze. If Democrats did this, it would be, heads would fly, would roll. It would be insane. Okay, Eric Trump, not known as the smart one, remember.
Good evening, America. When I stood on this convention stage 4 years ago, no one fully understood the historic change that was about to take place.
Right.
We could all feel it. Something was happening.
Yep.
A movement was forming just below the surface. The forgotten man and woman, voiceless in Washington, D.C., were preparing to rise up. Our movement followed the pattern of so many that came before us. First, we were ignored. Then we were laughed at. Then they fought us. And then, together, we won.
What a disgusting
From that
use of
moment
that
forward,
quote.
America came first. America started winning again. America became respected again. But with every movement, there's a counter movement.
Yeah, we're a little laughingstock now.
America is the source of the world's problems. As a result, they believe the only path forward is to erase history and forget the past. They want to destroy the monuments of our forefathers. They want to disrespect our flag, burn the stars and stripes that represent patriotism and the American dream. They want to disrespect our national anthem by taking a knee while our armed forces lay down their lives every day to protect our freedom. They do not want the Pledge of Allegiance in our schools. Many of them don't want one nation under God. The Democrats want to defund and disrespect our law enforcement. The Democrats want an America where your thoughts and opinions are censored when they do not align with their own. President Reagan said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, and it must be protected." This is the fight that we are in right now. And
what's crazy is these would be reasonable things to say to justify removing Donald Trump, not reelecting him.
Because he knew hardworking people across this great country were being left behind. The media mocked these patriots in the flyover states in which they lived. They ignored the Trump flags. They ignored the millions of MAGA banners and barns painted in red, white, and blue. The silent majority had no one fighting for them in either party. Their so-called leaders were bowing to China, bribing Iran, and spending more time worrying about how they'd be received by the elites in Paris than how Americans would provide for their families in Pittsburgh. Our family lost friends, but it only pushed us to fight harder. My father pledged to every American in every city, state, and town that he was going to make America great again. And so began the great American comeback. Almost immediately, taxes were slashed, regulations were cut, and the economy soared to new heights, heights never seen before. Wages went through the roof. Unemployment reached historic lows, especially for Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, and women. Trade deals were ripped up and renegotiated. Lights were turned back on in abandoned factories across our country. Trillions of dollars were repatriated back to the United States, which had been sitting in foreign lands for far too long. Once again, America became the envy of the world. And with that renewed strength came leverage. The president demanded that our allies pay their fair share for the defense of the Western world. My father rebuilt the mighty American military, adding new jets, aircraft carriers. He increased wages for our incredible men and women in uniform.
This guy is so lame. Like, it's just everything about this delivery is lame. The content obviously is lame, but it's like, what? People are glazing over.
The moment President Trump ordered special forces to kill some of the deadliest terrorists on the planet, the day the mighty Moab was dropped on insurgent camps, is the day America took a stance to never be defeated by the enemy. Al-Baghdadi, Soleimani, dead. Over and over, issue after issue, the economy, the wall, the military, trade deals, tax cuts, Supreme Court justices, VA hospitals, prescription drugs, school choice, right to try, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, peace in the Middle East. Never-ending wars were finally ended. Promises made and promises for the first time were kept. Most politicians spend their entire careers in Washington, D.C. and get absolutely nothing accomplished. For example, Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a politician who has been in government for 47 years. He's a career politician who's never signed the front of a check and does not know the slightest thing about the American worker or the American business, the engine which fuels the greatest economy the world has ever known. The same politician who has been a total pushover for communist China and someone who would be a giant relief for terrorists who now have spent years running, hiding, and being taken out by the most talented military known to man. Joe Biden has pledged to raise your taxes by $4 trillion. 82% of Americans will see their taxes go up significantly.
Lie.
Biden has pledged to stop border wall construction and give amnesty and health care to all illegal immigrants. Biden has pledged to defund the police.
Wrong.
And take away your cherished Second Amendment.
Lie.
My
Obvious
father, on the
lie.
other hand, delivered the largest tax cuts in American history, knows if you do not have a border, you do not have a country, and will always support law enforcement and your right to keep and bear arms. Every day, my father fights for the American people, the forgotten man and woman of this country, the ones who embody the American spirit, which is unlike anything else in the world. It built the New York City skyline. It built the Hoover Dam. And soon, under my father's leadership, it will send Americans to Mars.
What?
the shadows of Mount Rushmore, and the stillness of the air at Gettysburg. It can be seen in the wide-eyed wonder of every American child as they take their first breath in the greatest country the world has ever known. It defeated fascism, it defeated communism, and in 68 days, it will defeat the empty, oppressive, and radical views of the extreme left.
Oh my God.
Ronald Reagan's quote ends with this simple warning. One day we could spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men and women were free. Under President Trump, freedom will never be a thing of the past. That's what a vote for Donald Trump represents. It's a vote for the American spirit, the American dream, and for the American flag. To the law enforcement officer who's being attacked, betrayed, and whose job they are trying to make extinct, my father will fight for you. To all houses of worship and to all people of faith, stripped of our religious freedoms,
like an aircraft carrier,
my father will fight for you. To the voiceless, shamed, censored, and canceled, my father will fight for you. To our farmers who work dawn to dusk to keep our plates full, my father will fight for you. To every single mother and father, to our veterans, our coal miners, and to the American worker, my father will fight for you. And to every proud American who bleeds red, white, and blue, my father will continue to fight for you. In closing, I'd like to speak directly to my father.
In conclusion,
I miss working alongside you every single day, but I'm damn proud to be on the front lines of this fight. I'm proud of what you're doing for this country. I'm proud to show my children what their grandfather's fighting for. I'm proud to watch you give them hell. Never stop. Continue to be unapologetic. Keep fighting for what is right. You are making America strong again. You are making America safe again.
Here we go.
You are making America proud again. And yes, together with a forgotten man and woman who are finally forgotten no more, you are making America great again.
Taking a while.
Dad, let's make Uncle Robert very proud this week. Let's go get another 4 years. I love you very much. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
So now getting down to, I think just Melania Trump is the only major speech that is left. Donald Trump wildly there claiming that he is going to get us to Mars, something that actual scientists have been working on for a very long time. Trump, I guess, going to get us to Mars in the next 4 years. And of course, if that happens, they will be plans that date back to before Trump was president. So it's all just a little bit weird. This is a great opportunity to get your super chats in. Jake says, see you later, liberals. YOLO on my big, beautiful, shiny ship to Mars where the big brains live. Yes. Jim Wagstaff says, I'm taking crazy pills. Yeah, we all feel like we are. Kevin Wilkie says, David, thank you to you and your team for your tireless work raising the value proposition and industry standard of independent media. Thank you for feeding our intellectual curiosities with integrity and class. Nos vemos. Thanks, Kevin. And like I promised, I'll return that $25 to you via Venmo later. I appreciate you doing me the favor of sending that super chat. A few other people to thank. Cody Mullins is new member number 26 today. Michael Girard is number 27. Concave Juju is number 28. Patricia Tongate is number 29. Brian Maddox is number 30. Christian Lee is number 31. Wow, things are happening. Nico Poulos is number 32. And David Baraki is number 33. Very much appreciate that support. Indeed, we are now standing by for Melania Trump. It looks like this is some kind of maybe pseudo introduction to her. I think her speech will be interesting nonetheless. Super Guy asks a brilliant question, which is, can someone please explain why the hell are there still undecided voters? What do people need at this point, I think is the question. Beautiful question. Beautiful question. Kilgore says, only time Eric can tell dad he loves him is on TV. Well said. Oscar Blackberg says, you have to tell me what Trump has to do with going to Mars. I'm going there to get away from all of this. Yeah, Trump has nothing to do with it. It's anything he can try to take credit for, he's going to try to. Convalescent plasma, going to Mars, a vaccine developed in the UK. I mean, anything he can take credit for, he's going to try to. And I think it's important that we all remember that so we don't fall for it. I don't think I'm going to fall for it, but it's certainly conceivable that somebody might. Oh, I do apologize. I missed two people before. Megan Whitfield is new member number 33. Let's go to this speech.
My name is Daniel Cameron. I'm 34 years old and the first African-American Attorney General in Kentucky history. It is an honor to be with you as a proud Republican and supporter of Donald J. Trump. I was raised in Kentucky, just a few miles from Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. Our first Republican president believed in compassion, self-reliance, freedom, equality, and justice. Sadly, there are some who don't believe in this wisdom or in the better angels of our shared American history as they tear down the statues of people like Ulysses S. Grant, Frederick Douglass, and even Mr. Lincoln himself. Lincoln said,
which Lincoln statues have been torn down? Is that true?
Will not long endure. And for Republicans, our heroes are those who propelled an imperfect nation ever forward, always striving to make life better for everyone. Even as anarchists mindlessly tear up American cities while attacking police and innocent bystanders, we Republicans do recognize those who work in good faith towards peace, justice, and equality. In fact, it was General Dwight Eisenhower, a future Republican president, who said, democracy is a system that recognizes the equality of humans before the law. Whether you are the family of Breonna Taylor or David Dorn, these are the ideals that will heal our nation's wounds. Republicans will never turn a blind eye to unjust acts, but neither will we accept an all-out assault on Western civilization. My values were shaped by my faith and by my parents. I worked at their small coffee shop, meeting people from all walks of life. And I realized something. No matter who we are, everyone needs a cup of coffee. That lesson stuck with me because despite our differences, we all want the same things. For our children to have more opportunities than we did, to feel the dignity of work, and to believe that if you play by the rules, you can make a good life for yourself and your family. So the question is, will we choose the path that gives us the best chance to meet those universal desires? Or will we go backward to a time when people were treated like political commodities who can't be trusted to think for themselves? I think often about my ancestors who struggled for freedom. And as I think of those giants and their broad shoulders, I also think about Joe Biden, who says, if you aren't voting for me, you ain't black, who argued that Republicans would put us back in chains.
Oh, boy.
Who says there is no diversity of thought in the black community.
There's no, arc to this speech.
Look at me. I am black. We are not all the same, sir. I am not in chains. My mind is my own. And you can't tell me how to vote because of the color of my skin. Joe Biden is a backwards thinker in a world that is craving forward-looking leadership. There's no wisdom in his record or plan, just a trail of discredited ideas and offensive statements. Joe Biden would destroy jobs, raise our taxes, and throw away the lives of countless unborn children.
Just a reminder, job growth is higher and unemployment tends to be lower during Democratic administrations. You can talk about correlation versus causation, but that's the facts.
Must dictate your politics. And if you fail to conform while exercising your God-given right to speak and think freely, they will cut you down. The politics of identity, cancellation, and mob rule are not acceptable to me.
He's criticizing identity politics, but has mentioned his race multiple times during this speech.
Your American dream, however you see fit. Mr. Lincoln said the dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise to the occasion. I believe Donald Trump can meet Lincoln's mandate, even as Joe Biden remains trapped by his own failed record and by the radicals who dominate his party. Let's be honest, no one is excited about Joe Biden, and so I ask you to judge the record. On criminal justice reform, Joe Biden couldn't do it, but President Trump did. On the economy, Joe Biden couldn't do it, but President Trump did build an economy that worked for everyone, especially minorities, and he will do it again. And on immigration, Joe Biden promises more to illegal immigrants than he does to you. But President Trump believes his highest duty is to the American worker. The choice is clear. Let me close with something my mom told me. This country's many faces comprise a family, not separate parts to be divided against each other. And like any family, we care for one another. We grieve together. We share our burdens and our struggles, and we celebrate our successes. And though we fuss and fight, we are not enemies. We are Americans, united by a collective faith in our Constitution and laws and the fundamental fairness they represent. We are defenders of life and of individual liberty, and we carry the mantle of Eisenhower and of Reagan to be a force for good in this world, and one that must always be reckoned with. That's my Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, that believes America is an indispensable nation, an evergreen tree, standing tall in a turbulent world. And that's why I am voting for Donald Trump for president. Thank you, and God bless.
So another speech riddled with identity politics, crowbarring it in. Now it's Pompeo and then Melania, presumably.
Looking out over the old city. I have a big job as Susan's husband and Nick's dad. Susan and Nick are more safe and their freedom's more secure because President Trump has put his America First vision into action. It may not have made him popular in every foreign capital, but it's worked. President Trump understands what my great fellow Kansan President Eisenhower said. For all that we cherish and justly desire for ourselves or for our children, the securing of peace is the first requisite. Indeed, the primary constitutional function of the national government is ensuring that your family and mine are safe and enjoy the freedom to live, to work, to learn, and to worship as they choose. Delivering on this duty to keep us safe and our freedoms intact, this president has led bold initiatives in nearly every corner of the world. In China, he's pulled back the curtain on the predatory aggression of the Chinese Communist Party. The president has held China accountable for covering up the China virus and allowing it to spread death and economic destruction in America and around the world. And he will not rest until justice is done. He has ensured that the Chinese Communist Party spies posing as diplomats in America are jailed or sent back to China. And he has ended the ridiculously unfair trade arrangement with China that punched a hole in our economy. Those jobs are coming back home. In North Korea, the president lowered the temperature and against all odds got the North Korean leadership to the table. No nuclear tests, no long-range missile tests.
Yeah, there is an Alex Jones vibe to Mike Pompeo. That's a good point, Denver.
Is that the precious remains of scores of heroes who fought in Korea. Today, because of President Trump, NATO is stronger, Ukraine has defensive weapon systems, and America left a harmful treaty so our nation can now build missiles to deter Russian aggression. And in the Middle East, when Iran threatened, the president approved a strike that killed the Iranian terrorist, Qasem Soleimani. This is the man most responsible for the murder and maiming of hundreds of American soldiers and thousands of Christians across the Middle East. And you'll recall, too, that when the president took office, radical Islamic terrorists had beheaded Americans, and ISIS controlled a territory in the size of Great Britain. Today, because of the president's determination and leadership, the ISIS caliphate is wiped out. It's gone. Its evil leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, is dead. And our brave soldiers, they're on their way home. The president exited the U.S., from the disastrous nuclear deal with Iran and squeeze the Ayatollah, Hezbollah, and Hamas. The president, too, moved the U.S. Embassy to this very city of God, Jerusalem, the rightful capital of the Jewish homeland. And just 2 weeks ago, the president brokered a historic peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. This is a deal that our grandchildren will read about in their history books.
I doubt that.
You know, as a soldier, I saw firsthand people desperate to flee to freedom. The way each of us can best ensure our freedoms is by electing leaders who don't just talk, but who deliver. An American hostage, imprisoned in Turkey for 2 years, Pastor Andrew Brunson, said upon his release that he survived his ordeal with these words of Scripture: "Be faithful, endure, and finish well. If we stay the course, we will." May God richly bless you, and may God bless our great nation, the United States of America.
All right, so short remarks from Mike Pompeo, and then hear the much anticipated, with a crowd, in fact, Rose Garden speech from Melania Trump upcoming, although this seems to be Mike and Karen Pence. I believe this is the lead up to the Melania speech, and this could get pretty ugly. This could get really bad. So we're going to see momentarily here. Wow. This, I had no idea that they were going to have a crowd, but it's all extremely propagandistic. And of course, not socially distant either, as you can probably tell. Here's Trump coming out to the requisite applause, clapping for himself as well. Man, this has got to be weird, sitting there, having Trump sit there while Melania speaks. And why isn't he with Melania, by the way? It's very strange. Oh, everything about this is weird. Oh, and extra orange today as well. Oh my God.
It is my great honor to present First Lady Melania Trump.
First Lady Melania Trump. First Lady Melania Trump officially kicking off her Be Best
Be
initiative.
Best.
She is courageous. She's taking on...
We just learned from one of her former advisors, Stephanie Winston or something like that, that when Melania proposed Be Best, her advisor said, that sounds like illiteracy. And yet they pushed forward with it. Just wacky stuff.
Brings to the position of First Lady.
She is smart, independent, and I think people have underestimated her big time.
The First Lady was amazing. She was gracious, empathetic, and showed true compassion.
First Lady Melania Trump stepping out onto the world stage.
Her Be Best campaign is now going international. She has the advantage of speaking several languages. She can be a diplomat for our
It's
country.
not clear that's been an advantage for her as First Lady, but...
Her continuing to work on her Be Best campaign by shining a spotlight on successful programs that teach children tools and skills.
She represents our country with enormous warmth and elegance and grace.
Throughout history, women have made lasting impacts on society, and these women represent the strength of the female spirit. As First Lady of the United States, I'm proud of what this country continues to do for women. We as women must continue
This is going to be a great speech, guys.
empowerment, our voices.
It was a very important moment for Melania Trump. This was a really prominent week for her.
The iconic White House Rose Garden has been renovated for the first time in 60 years.
When the history books are written, there should
And
be...
it looks like they removed the roses, which is not the way I would go in the rose garden, but I'm not a horticulturist.
An incredible woman, First Lady Melania Trump.
All right, the keynote for day 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady of the United States, Mrs. Melania Trump.
I'm cringing already. very long walk. It's like a pageant show, yeah. You're right.
Good evening. It seems like just yesterday that we were at our first convention, where my husband accepted the Republican nomination and then became our 45th President of the United States. Yet the energy and enthusiasm for who should lead this nation, it is real today as it was 4 years ago. I know I speak for my husband and the entire family when I say we have not forgotten the incredible people who were willing to take a chance on the businessmen who had never worked in politics.
It was a bad chance.
We know it was you who elected him to be commander-in-chief, and we know it is you who will carry us through again. We were humbled by the incredible support then, and we are still grateful today. I want to acknowledge the fact that since March, our lives have changed drastically. The invisible enemy, COVID-19, swept across our beautiful country and impacted all of us. My deepest sympathy goes out to everyone who has lost a loved one, and my prayers are with those who are ill or suffering. I know many people are anxious and some feel helpless. I want you to know you're not alone. My husband's administration will not stop fighting until there is an effective treatment or vaccine
I didn't know they started
available
fighting.
to everyone. Donald will not rest until he has done all he can to take care of everyone impacted by this terrible pandemic. I want to extend my gratitude to all of the healthcare professionals, frontline workers and teachers who stepped up in these difficult times. Despite the risk to yourselves and your own families, you put our country first, and my husband and I are grateful. I have been moved by the way Americans have come together in such an unfamiliar and often frightening situation. It is in times like this that we will look back and tell our grandchildren that through kindness and compassion, strength and determination, we were able to restore the promise of our future. Businesses stepped up and volunteers stepped in. People were eager to share ideas, resources, and support of all kinds with neighbors and strangers alike. It has been inspiring to see what the people of our great nation will do for one another, especially when we are at our most fragile. Speaking of strength and determination, we recently celebrated the 100-year anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment.
Yeah, Trump pardoned Susan B. Anthony, and the people in the room thought it was a joke.
Of the White House, we unveiled an exhibit dedicated to women's suffrage. The exhibit called on children from across the country to send art honoring the meaning of this important time in women's history. When I was judging the entries, I reflected on the impact of women's voices in our nation's story, and how proud I will be to cast my vote again for Donald this November. We must make sure that women are heard and that the American dream continues to thrive. Growing up as a young child in Slovenia, which was under
Yeah, the people criticizing the fact that she's an English as a second language speaker or eighth language, or I think that's sort of, what she's saying is ridiculous, but people have accents when they learn languages after age 12, typically. I don't know that that's much of anything. I mean, I think the reality is she didn't want any of this. She just wanted to, be some rich dude's wife and have a kid and fly around on a private jet. And okay, it didn't work out, but her accent, come on.
Prosper in America, but also contribute to a nation that allows for people to arrive with a dream and make it reality. I want to take the moment to thank my mother and father for all they have done for our family. It is because of you that I'm standing here today. I arrived in the United States when I was 26 years old. Living and working in the land of opportunity was a dream come true, but I wanted more. I wanted to be a citizen. After 10 years of paperwork and patience, I studied for the test in 2006 and became an American citizen.
The delay on the applause makes it cringe now.
It is still one of the proudest moments in my life because with hard work and determination, I was able to achieve my own American dream. As an immigrant and a very independent woman, I understand what a privilege it is to live here and to enjoy the freedoms and opportunities that we have. As First Lady, I have been fortunate to see the American dream come true over and over again. I have met many inspiring women, children, parents, and families who have overcome life-changing issues that include addiction, homelessness, family members who are ill or have passed away, abuse of all kinds, and many other challenges that would make most people give up. The past 3.5 years have been unforgettable. There are no words to describe how honored, humbled, and fortunate I am to serve our nation as your First Lady. After many of the experiences I've had, I don't know if I can fully explain how many people I take home with me in my heart each day. From brave soldiers who give up so much so that we can be free, to children of all circumstances.
This seems so disingenuous to me. I don't know what you guys think.
For inspiring me. It is my greatest honor to serve you. When I speak to members of the military, despite sacrificing time with their families, experience the fear of war or suffering loss, they have no regrets about serving our country. The same goes for their families and the families of first responders who often watch their loved ones walk out the door, not sure if or when they will come home. When I speak to families who have lost someone, the pain mixed with pride I hear in their voices is something I think about often. So thank you to all who serve our country in the military.
This guy on the left's on his phone, as you can see there. Oh, a couple of masks in the crowd.
To the families who wait for them, you are our heroes in your own right.
I think Kim Jong-un wore this outfit better, guys. I don't know about you. Hopefully we'll see some kind of fashion review tomorrow.
Hospitals, schools, and other locations around the world. Children who are dealing with pain or illness that would break even the strongest adult. Parents who are grateful to wake up every day and see that their child is still alive. These families are a testament to what faith and medicine, strength and science can do. On my first international trip as First Lady, my husband and I visited places of great significance to the 3 major religions.
Okay, significance is interesting. What do you guys think Trump's thinking about right now?
One special memory from that trip is of a young boy I had privilege of visiting while at Bambino Gesù Hospital in Rome, Italy. While there, I read the little boy a story and learned that he and his family had been waiting for a heart for a very long time, and he had a grim prognosis. His situation brought my staff and me to tears, and we spoke of a little else as we flew to Belgium for the next part of our trip. Upon landing just a few hours later, we learned that a heart had been donated and would be going to the little one. I think about him often, along with so many amazing and strong young patients across our own country. More profound and sadly unavoidable examples of our country's strength and character have occurred in the communities that have been impacted by natural disasters. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and flooding may show the ugly side of Mother Nature.
It does seem like you guys are recognizing what I'm recognizing, which is that there's absolutely number one, there's no coherent message here. And number two, there's nothing here that justifies re-electing Donald Trump. Those are my two takeaways.
And we are deeply moved by the strength of the people who have lost everything and the kindness of neighbors and communities. The common thread in all of these challenging situations is the unwavering resolve to help one another. I recognize the stories I just told are about people who survive extraordinary circumstances. But Donald and I are also inspired by the millions of Americans who wake up each day with a simple yet courageous goal of providing for their families and keeping them safe. You are the backbone of this country. You are the people who continue to make the United States of America what it is, and who have the incredible responsibility of preparing our future generations to leave everything even better than they found it. Just as you are fighting for your families, my husband, our family, and the people in this administration are here fighting for you. No matter the amount of negative or false media headlines or attacks from the other side, Donald Trump has not and will not lose focus on you. He loves this country, and he knows how to get things done. As you have learned over the past 5 years, he's not a traditional politician. He doesn't just speak words. He demands action, and he gets results. The future of our country has always been very important to him, and it is something that I have always admired. In fact, it is to help ensure a better future for our next generation that I launched Be Best, my initiative to help children achieve their fullest potential. Be Best has one simple goal: teaching youth about the importance of their well-being, both mentally and physically. This also includes understanding online safety and the dangers of opioid and drug abuse. Through Be Best, my office and I have been able to highlight people, programs, and organizations that are doing extraordinary things in our country and around the world. I continue to believe that by shining a light...
It's mostly an inoffensive speech. I mean, it's completely devoid of any meaning and content, but it's relatively inoffensive other than the parts where she praises Trump.
Our next generation. Helping children is not a political goal. It is our moral imperative. When I think back to a defining moment of Be Best, my mind goes to a trip I took to Africa.
During which she came up with the name.
On that vast and beautiful continent, I was able to visit the countries of Ghana, Malawi, Kenya, and Egypt. One of those visits, in particular, had a profound impact on me. Ghana, on the coast of West Africa, was the first stop on my trip, and I experienced firsthand its warm people and their traditions. While there, I visited the Cape Coast Castle and learned more about the beginning of a cruel and often deadly journey in the era of the slave trade. I was horrified when I listened to the guide tell me so many inhumane stories, and I gained new perspectives. It is time in our history we must never forget, so that we can ensure that it never happens again. Like all of you, I have reflected on the racial unrest in our country. It is a harsh reality that we are not proud of parts of our history. I encourage people to focus on our future while still learning from our past.
Slavery was bad, but let's focus on the future.
We are all one community, comprised of many races, religions, and ethnicities. Our diverse and storied history is what makes our country strong, and yet we still have so much to learn from one another. With that in mind, I like to call on the citizens of this country to take a moment, pause, and look at things from all perspectives. I urge people to come together in a civil manner so we can work and live up to our standard American ideals. I also
The super chats are not particularly pleased with this speech.
being done in the name of justice, and never make assumptions based on the color of a person's skin. Instead of tearing things down, let's reflect on our mistakes, be proud of our evolution, and look to our way forward. Every day, let us remember that we are one nation under God, and we need to cherish one another. My husband's administration has worked to try and effect change when it comes to issues around race and religion in this country. He is the first president to address a special session of the United Nations General Assembly to call upon countries across the world to end religious persecution and honor the right of every person to worship as they choose. He has made substantial investments in our historically Black colleges and universities. This president also continues to fight for school choice, giving parents more options to help their children flourish. My husband knows how to make a real change. From the day that I met him, he has only wanted to make this country the best it can be. For many years, I watched him grow concerned and frustrated, and I'm so proud to see the many things he has done in
I think it is too long and unfocused. Yeah, it should have been significantly shorter.
his heart. So while at times we only see the worst of people and politics on the evening news, let's remember how we come together in the most difficult times. And while debate rages on about issues of race, let's focus on the strides we have made and work together for a better tomorrow for everyone.
Trump's going to ream her out for this speech, right?
Historic resources and produced life-saving results by raising awareness around opioid addiction and drug abuse, especially for children. When so often the headlines are filled with gossip, I want to take this moment to encourage the media to focus even more on the nation's drug crisis. This disease is one that affects everybody. It pays no attention to race, age, or socioeconomic status. Addiction has touched every part of our...
Oh, I thought she was actually going to talk about coronavirus.
And now, more than ever, we have programs and medicine to combat it. We just need to talk about it openly. And you, the media, have the platforms to make that happen. To the media industry and as a country, I ask that we all commit to helping in our fights against drug addiction by talking about it even more. Especially as we battle the COVID pandemic, we need to remember that suicides are on the rise as people who are struggling with loneliness and addiction feel they have nowhere to turn.
Who wrote this? This is not good.
Children, teachers, and caregivers, pay attention to signs of addiction. Lawmakers, pass legislation that allows those who ask for help to do so safely and without fear, and to provide resources for organizations that help people impacted by addiction.
I'm pretty sure Melania just blinked prenup in Morse code.
No longer be ashamed to ask for help, and lives will be saved. And if you are struggling with addiction, there is no shame in your illness. Please seek help. You are worth it. In my next 4 years as First Lady, I will continue to build upon Be Best and work with individual states to pass legislation to take care of our most vulnerable. I plan to continue the work I have started with children in foster care, as well as the minority communities and tribal nations. I want to ensure children are being protected and communities have the resources needed to combat drug addiction and child neglect or abuse. Like my husband and the administration, I will continue to encourage education that supports a child's individual needs. It is vital that children are given the building blocks to succeed.
I wish she would comment on whether she thinks Stormy Daniels got too much money in the payoff. I'm curious what she thinks about that, quite frankly.
Pride for our nation. I believe this iconic home needs to be cared for and preserved so it can be enjoyed by the people of this country and visitors from around the world for years to come. I'm passionate about this beautiful house, the grounds, and all they represent. And now, I have a special message for the mothers of this country.
Oh, no.
This modern world is moving so fast, and our children face challenges that seem to change every few months. Just like me, I know many of you watch how mean and manipulative social media can be. And just like me, I'm sure many of you are looking for answers how to talk to your children about the downside of technology and their relationships with their peers. Like every parent in this country, I feel there are so many lessons.
Trump clearly regretting this, realizing this was a disastrous idea.
But there are just not enough hours in the day to do it all. I remind myself that I'm more fortunate than most, and still have days that I look for wisdom and strength to do the very best I can for him. To mothers and parents everywhere, you are warriors. In my husband, you have a president who will not stop fighting for you and your families. I see how hard he works each day and night, and despite the unprecedented attacks from the media and opposition, he will not give up. In fact, if you tell him he cannot be done, he just works harder. Donald?
Cringe applause line, wow.
Donald is a husband who supports me in all that I do. He has built an administration with an unprecedented number of women in leadership roles and has fostered an environment where the American people are always the priority.
Is it that bright there? Like, why is Trump squinting?
Of you and encourage thinking outside of the box. I know I speak for my husband and the family when I say we are so grateful that you have trusted him to be your president, and we will be honored to serve this incredible country for 4 more years.
Okay.
As you have heard this evening, I don't want to use this precious time attacking the other side, because as we saw last week, that kind of talk only serves to divide the country further. I'm here because we need my husband to be our president and commander-in-chief for 4 more years. He is what is best for our country. We all know Donald Trump makes no secrets about how he feels about things. Total honesty is what we as citizens deserve from our president. Whether you like it or not, you always know what he's thinking. And that is because he's an authentic person who loves this country and its
You guys think they got enough pictures?
continue to make it better. Donald wants to keep your family safe. He wants to help your family succeed. He wants nothing more than for this country to prosper, and he doesn't waste time playing politics.
That shutter has to be broken, right?
Went into Election Day completely underestimated. Despite what is being said again this year, I know, just as you do, that Americans will go to the polls and vote on the behalf of their families, our economy, our national security, and our children's future. To vote for those ideals is not a partisan vote. It is a common sense vote, because those are goals and hopes that we all believe in. I believe that we need my husband's leadership now more than ever in order to bring us back once again to the greatest economy and the strongest country ever known. God bless you all, your families, and God bless the United
abrupt
States
end.
of America.
Wow. I guess she's saying we should vote for Trump, right? Did she say we should vote for Trump? It's not even really clear. Or certainly she didn't say why. I'm confused as ever. Oh boy. Wow. This is awkward, guys. And off they go after an historic and inspirational night, defiant against all of their... what the hell am I talking about? No, it was idiotic. I really don't know what to make of it. Just bizarre. It's like, what stands out? Like, remember when she mentioned bullying is bad? Like, I remember her saying that, but then thinking how Trump bullies people all the time. Yeah, very not memorable in any way.
Lady Melania Trump.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap. It's that's just it. I'm glad everybody was with me. Please remember, we are trying to get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube and 50,000 followers on Twitch. So if you're heading out, smash that subscribe button, punch the follow button on Twitch, and I'll see everybody back here tomorrow.